Welcome in, friends. The live streams look like they're all open. We should be live on TikTok. I see M's already in the TikTok stream. Welcome in, M's. And Terry's here. Roland's here. Meek in the house. Gonna have a good time here, friends. Jay Steele, welcome in. Good to see you. It's gonna be a fun day. You guys know this is a fun topic. It's always a fun topic. And I think we all know that this topic also brings out some of the crazies. We'll see. We will see. We'll see what comes in. But welcome in. It's great to see everyone. Kyle's with us. Good to see you, Kyle. We already actually have some early birds that have been waiting to get in, and some super chats that are already waiting. The guest queue should be populating here shortly. If you're watching on TikTok, you can join the same way you do any live stream on TikTok. Just hit the guest request button. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you can find the link in the description to join the conversation, or you can just look at the screen. There's a link here on the horizontal and a link here on the vertical that shows where to go so that you can join the conversation. If you use the third-party link, you ain't got to sign up for nothing. We don't need your email. It's just a link that provides you an audio and video feed to my hardware so we can get you into the conversation. So Dark Knight says a full week. I'm not going to be streaming every day this week, Dark, but I'll be streaming 3 or 4 times this week. I can't stream over the weekends, but I can stream a couple times during the week for the next couple weeks. So we're going to be doing some daytime cookouts. Let me grab a couple of super chats. We'll get, hopefully, we'll get some guests populating the guest queue shortly. Chris, my friend, thank you so much for joining the Kraken Crew Elite. Big W. You should have access to the cheat sheet. Actually, just added some new syllogisms to the cheat sheet, so that should be fun for anyone who wants to do philosophy. And Nate, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Nate says, "Pop in my super cherry or shit." Listen. It's an honor to be your first, Nate. Says, "Pop in my super cherry. I was thinking about Deuteronomy 22. Good bet some of the women who failed the test had also been SA'd previously and just tried to hide it. Graped and stoned. What a life to live, El Yahweh." This is true. Now, here's my theory. I agree with you. I think there probably is a percentage of women that were graped by somebody. They couldn't tell. Maybe it was their father, maybe it was their uncle. And so when they got married off, they either nobody knew or the parents lied, right? Because what parent is going to say, no, my daughter is actually not a virgin because I slept with her, right? So I bet there's probably a pretty wide range of women in the ancient world that actually got essayed by their own family members and then could have perhaps been stoned according to Deuteronomy 22. It's a good thought, Nate. Texas Panhandler, great to see you, friend. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the super chat, too. Says, you know who is good? Justin, the prophet of Doug, the rock of our desalvation, the granite juggernaut. Happy Monday, buddy. Well, thank you so much, Texas. I appreciate the sentiment. Big W, thank you for being here and for supporting the stream, friend. And looks like we got one guest in the queue. So we'll get to our guest here in just a second. T-Mass says, was Jesus planking on the donkey and the colt or just straddling them both? He was standing on them, one leg for each. So first I thought, well, maybe he was doing a plank. Then I thought, well, he could be doing the Jean-Claude Van Damme splits. But now somebody had actually suggested recently that maybe he stacked them. It was colt on donkey. And so Jesus was just on the top of the tower, like a cheerleading pyramid or something. So that's a possibility as well. Keep that in mind, Team Az. And Edward, thank you so much for the $20 Euro chat. Big W friend says, premise 1, God created human reasoning. Should be fun. Premise 2, God doesn't like human reasoning. Premise 3, God manipulates historical outcomes all the time. Conclusion number 1, God doesn't care about free will. Conclusion number 2, God gives us free will is a dog poo argument. Actually, I'm with you. There's so many times in the Bible. I'm going to do a tab on the cheat sheet. I haven't done it yet. I apologize. I've collected all the verses, all the relevant verses in the Bible that demonstrate that God doesn't give a damn about free will, even though he claims we have it. I will add that tab to the cheat sheet soon. I apologize, I haven't got to it yet. But Edward, your syllogism holds. It seems watertight. And Kyle, thank you for the $10 super chat, friend. Says, I'm having a strange thought. Already, it says that God put man in the garden. So my theory is that he grabbed 2 cavemen from outside the garden. Think this sounds legit? Well, maybe. I don't know if it does, Kyle. As far as I can tell, God created mankind to be his slave. In fact, it says in Genesis, when it talks about God placing man in the garden, it says he placed him there to slave over the garden. That's the word used. It could have used a softer word, but it's pretty clear that God wanted humans to be slaves, his slaves. In fact, Leviticus 25 says so. With the Israelites, when they leave Egypt, God says, they are my slaves who I brought out of Egypt. So yeah, I mean, the God of the Bible wants slaves. And this shouldn't be surprising because, the Old Testament texts are kind of riffing on the ancient Babylonian stories. And in the ancient Babylonian creation myth, the human beings are created so that they can do the work of the human that the gods didn't want to do, right? So there's that. All right, I'm gonna grab just a couple more super chats. We'll get James in here. Brianna says, "What are some logical fallacies to look out for while debating?" Well, there's that. You can go on Google and just Google all the logical fallacies, but there's a ton of them. The ones we see here often are non sequiturs. That's when the conclusion doesn't follow the premise. We also get a lot of begging the question or circular arguing, where like the conclusion, the supporting premise for the conclusion includes the conclusion. So we get a lot of that nonsense. We get a lot of straw man arguments, and we get a lot of moving the goalposts. So there's some of the common ones we see in this space. And God's Grim Reaper, thank you for the super chat. Says, great to see you again multiple days in a row. And on my B-Day, cook some Christians for me. Well, God's Grim Reaper, big W, happy birthday. Glad to see you. And thanks for being here. Dave says, I can't stop watching your videos. Thank you for helping me. I can be considered a deist, but I'm leaning towards the truth. Well, hell yeah, Dave. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're thinking. I used to be a theist of sorts myself after I left Christianity, and it was just good reasoning that brought me out of that. And B-Boop says, DC, how's this going? Much love and rock hard for Doug. Well, it's going well, B-Boop. Thank you so much for being here. And last super chat from Vern. Vern, thank you so much for the $50 super chat. I super appreciate that. Vern says, sorry about the fuck the Browns, let's go Steelers super chat last stream. It's okay. If you're a Steelers fan, I get it. Says, you've mentioned being a Browns fan in the past stream, so as a Steelers fan, I had to say something while also supporting the stream. Anyways, love the channel. Keep cooking. Don't worry at all, Vern. Don't worry. The rivalries for me are fun. You know what I mean? So like I've never taken sports so seriously that like a loss would get me upset. It's just for funsies. But I do love rooting for the home team, whether they're dog shit or whether they're good. Luckily for me, my home team has already got the dog shit color for their color schemes, so it's not, you don't have to do a whole lot of work to get there. We're gonna get James in the guest box. How you doing, James?
Hey, pretty good. What about you?
Doing well. James, are you at least 18 and are you a believer?
I'm a believer, yes, and I'm at least 18.
Cool. And which God do you believe in?
I believe in the Christian God.
Cool.
The man. Yeah, the man in the clouds.
Yeah. The wheel in the sky keeps on turning, doesn't it? So, do you think that the Christian God is all good?
I believe he's all good and all knowing and all powerful.
But I mean, actually, that's a really good start. Do you think that he's also all three omnis? Do you think he's omnipresent?
Yes, of course he is.
Okay, so he sees all things, he's everywhere, and he's all powerful.
I would agree with that. Yep.
Do you think that all of his commands are good?
Not so they could be seen as bad, but in the future there could be something good that happens as a result of it. Is what I'm saying.
Well,
so
sure.
Yes and no. It would be seen as no, like why the hell is he doing this? And then all of a sudden you see, oh, okay, now it makes sense. Once you're in retrospect, I say, I didn't understand that part. It actually took me to have a divorce to understand that. What happened was, I wouldn't have met my current wife had this not happened. By the way, I was at this church, right? I used to go to this church, and this was my church that I grew up in. I came home from work early one night, and my wife was in bed with the pastor, right?
That's not good.
But here's the thing: is that it's something very bad, right? But the thing is, this is what it took for me to leave that church and find my wife at another church. This is what it took. This is what would have happened. Hey, had it not been that drastic, had it been with another man, I would have kept going to the same church, I would have never met my current wife. So
Well, let me
the
ask you a
reality is
question.
that something bad happened, right? But now something good happened as a result of it. Because my ex-wife, she was detrimental to me. I would not look forward to coming home from work. I would not. I would take the long way home. I wouldn't look forward to seeing her. I was in misery. As soon as I woke up in the morning, I was like, holy shit, all over again. I was like, nah, I would wake up in a bad mood every single day when I was married with her.
I get it. Okay, so let me ask you a couple of questions because your analogy is an interesting one. So I don't deny that sometimes bad things happen, and then down the road we discover that there are good things that came as a result, right? So I think we agree there. I think where I'm gonna draw the line is I think that if you're all powerful and you're all good, then you need to accomplish those goals without the bad stuff. And I think if God broke your wife's free will and broke your pastor's free will, like he intervened on their life to get them to sleep together, that seems like God is literally causing them to sin in order to get you to realize you should leave your church. Is that what you're suggesting happened?
I don't think God causes sin. I think that it's not the way it's seen. I think that he views a good plan and he goes above and beyond to make that plan happen. And if this has to happen as a result of this plan, then so be it.
Right, but if it weren't for God, would your wife and your pastor have slept together?
This was divine intervention, I would say. I think if it wasn't for this incident, I would have not met my current wife. And I'm
Okay.
looking at her right now. Actually, she's right by my side. She's laughing right now for some reason. But
I
no, I'm letting her know
I know.
that had
Just
it not been for that incident.
I know what you're saying. Just follow me here, okay? So you're suggesting then that God was the one who caused your wife to cheat on you?
I think so. I think yes, yeah, divine intervention. Yes, I would say yes.
Okay. Now the concern I would have here is it seems like sin is born out of temptation, right? First you're tempted, then you sin.
I think so. Actually,
That's James chapter
even the
1.
the mere the mere thought alone is actually equivalent to the action in itself.
Yes, even
Even
lusting
if,
in your heart, I know.
yeah, of course, yes,
Okay.
I believe that. I firmly believe that.
Now, what does James chapter 1 say about God? Does it say that God tempts people, or does it say that God tempts no one?
I think that he tempts no one. I think we tempt ourselves, I would
Right.
say.
Okay. So if your wife was tempted to cheat on you and then she did cheat on you, it seems like the temptation to do so didn't come from God.
It came from my wife, I would say, but the man behind the plan is still God. Even though that he was not the one who tempted her, I think that the man behind the plan is still God. That's what
Okay.
I would say to them.
So in your worldview, God does cause people to sin.
I think that he knows we're going to sin ourselves. I don't think anybody's perfect. And he knows, okay, this is what's going to happen. This guy's going to do this. This guy's going to do that. All right, this is how I'm going to make it work. He's like like a puzzle builder. He builds puzzles in his mind. It's insane. I would
Right.
never be capable of doing it. Never.
Okay. But if God doesn't cause people to sin, then he didn't cause your wife to cheat on you.
Yeah, we should say ex-wife, actually. Yeah, she's my ex-wife now.
No, I'm aware, but follow me. If God doesn't tempt people to sin and doesn't cause people to sin, then that means he didn't cause your wife to sin. That was her fault.
This is a mind bender for me. I'm trying to wrap my head around this one. I think that he did not cause my wife to cheat. No, my ex-wife to cheat on me. I think that what happened was probably that he knew that my ex-wife would cheat on me, and he knew that this would happen. So therefore, he knew that I would move church. Move to a different church
Okay.
as a result of this happen.
So-
it had to take something drastic like this to happen.
So now, if he knew it was going to happen without his intervention, that means he didn't cause it to happen. That makes it just a coincidence.
I think that this is too big of a coincidence. I don't know. I think it's pretty insane how like I'm a perfect match with my current wife. It's insane. Like how you explain that? Like you think that this all happened by accident? No way.
Yeah, I think it did happen by accident. But let's get to the meat of the argument. So in your worldview, God is perfectly good. In my worldview, I don't think that seems to be the case. And I've got quite a few reasons to believe that, but I'm going to use maybe the simplest argument I've ever used on a live stream ever to illustrate my point. And it's only got maybe 3 premises that lead to a conclusion. So we'll walk through it. Premise number 1 is God is good. I think you're agreeing with that. God is good.
God is good. God is great. God is all-knowing. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Premise number 2 is someone that is not good isn't God.
Everybody's God. I think that we're all God in there. Even bad is God.
Oh boy. Wait, am I wrong? Did I ask you if you were a Christian? I thought we established that.
I am Christian. Yeah, I am Christian. Yeah.
But everybody is God?
We're all inside God.
We're inside God? Like what are we talking about? What do you mean inside God?
I think, like, to put things in layman's terms, it's not like that, right? It's like just imagine the universe as this big being, and we're inside of it. That's the way I envision God to be. I feel like we're part of God, like we're literally living inside of God.
Okay, so we'll start from premise number 1. Premise number 1 is God is good. You agree. Premise number 2 is that an individual, a person, an entity that is not good cannot be God, right? We lost him. I think his wife, who loves him dearly, probably took him out of this conversation because she knew what was happening. Or TikTok glitched. Actually, when he dropped, I had 3 guests in the guest queue, and all 3 of them dropped at once. I think there was a glitch on TikTok. He didn't seem like the type of guy that would run from a conversation. He seemed pretty pleasant, actually. Oh well. We'll move. We'll grab a couple super chats. We'll move on to the next one. Dry says, question on Exodus 20. Does verse 17 imply the coveting of a neighbor's wife as a property crime versus a crime against a woman? As far as I can tell, it's a property crime because the crime is not coveting anything the woman owns. The crime is coveting the possessions of your neighbor, and your neighbor possesses a woman. And so if you covet your neighbor's wife, you're doing a property crime against the man who technically owns the woman. So there's that. Connor, thank you for sending out a Deconstruction Zone membership. Big W, friend. And also, Boogie says, thank you for the 666. Hail Nero says, still can't get into Discord. What do you mean? What do you mean, Boogie, you can't get into Discord? You just got to click the link and go. Help. Also, my father is still a believer. He uses the Peshitta translation. What do you know of that? Well, the Peshitta is Syriac, right? And it's not as old as he would want it to be. I don't know. I mean, is he Syrian? I don't see a reason to use the Peshitta for anything. There's nothing special about it. It is an early translation of the Bible, but it's certainly not as early as the Greek and the Hebrew would be. So I'm not sure why you would give it preference. That's a weird thing to do. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty reliable translation for what it is. Is it as good as the original? No, I wouldn't classify it as such. And Sonus, welcome in, friend. Great to see you. Happy Monday. Big W from Argentina says, happy Monday. Cooking. Can you inception someone to think logically, or is it innate to teach one's upbringing? Cheers. Good question. Let me think about that. I don't think you can force someone to think logically, but I think you can teach them. And I'll give you a good example. So when I was a young student in engineering, one of the things you have to learn before you can be a good programmer is logic. Like you have to know logic and logic flow and things like that before you can program. And so we literally had to do logic puzzles before we even learned how to program. They made us do logic puzzles and taught us how to think orderly and logically. So it can be taught, but I don't think it can be forced. All right, let's get our next guest up in here. Welcome in, Uncle.
Hey, how's it going, Justin?
Doing good. Thank you for asking. Uncle, are you at least 18 and are you a believer?
I'm non-believer, but yes, I am well over 18.
Sure. Okay. Did you have a question?
No, I actually just been trying to get on here a couple of times to tell you thank you for
Oh.
all of the educating that you did. I'm an ex-Mormon,
Oh shit.
so
How long you been gone?
over 20 years. I left during the mission prep phase. I had some questions that were met with, well, you should pray about it.
What's the first thing you did after you left? Did you start snorting coffee or?
No, I started laying pipe.
Became a plumber. Fantastic.
Yes, sir. In a manner of speaking, yeah.
Of course. Only
I immediately went and found all those women that my family warned me about.
yeah, it turns out they're the funnest ones, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
But
So
big W for leaving.
that's all I had. I just wanted to thank you, and I feel like you're doing a public service, and it's really fun to watch you while I sit here at work and work on cars.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And big W for being a mechanic. It's a really fun career, and where I think the world is at a lack of qualified good mechanics right now.
There is. We're leaving the force in record numbers.
Right.
For a lot of reasons, mostly just because new cars are garbage.
They're garbage, and you need a lot of specialized training to fix them, and the parts are hard to get, and they're impossible to work on because engineers don't want you to work on them. It's a train wreck.
Oh yeah, they'll step over 100 virgins to F1 mechanic.
Yeah, that's 100% right. But don't worry, Yahweh will make sure they get stoned.
I hope so. All right, man. Thank you for your time, and you have a great day, and keep doing the Lord's work, as it were.
Cheers, buddy.
See ya.
Oh, buddy. W Mechanics, they're doing some difficult work. It's not easy, friends. All right, let me grab like 5 super chats. We'll get our next guest in here. I think the next one in was Fox. Well, Fox just left, so it's going to be El Predictor. The Christian Atheist says, I'm not good with conversation, so I practice talking to large rocks. It makes me bother. It's a good use of words. Really good use of words. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. And T-Maz coming back with the $5 super chat that says, was Jesus an annihilationist? Well, maybe. It kind of seems that way. It seems like scholars think modern ideas of heaven and hell are not what Jesus really thought and taught. So it depends, right? So I personally think that Jesus was an annihilationist, but it depends on which verses you pull. And that's the problem with questioning what does the Bible teach, because there are so many things the Bible does teach. You have to ask yourself, what does each specific author think? And last one from our friend Marcus. Marcus, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Huge W there. He says, just ordered my Oxford annotated NRSV and subscribed to Sarah's channel. Hell yeah. Learned about Genesis 9 verse 27. Is that a verse you use as an example for the Bible condoning slavery? It seems pretty clear to me. So this is the verse where Noah's son is cursed. His descendants are used to be cursed as slaves. Now, I don't use this one specifically to do slavery, only because it could be translated as like forced labor, as rather than ownership, like owning another human being as property. And so I don't think it's as clear as like Leviticus. But to your point, Marcus, yes, Genesis 9:27 is endorsing slavery, and it's giving you the reason. It's giving you a reasoned backstory for why it is that it's okay to enslave the Canaanites. Oh, because of this shit they did way back then. Look at what Ham did to his father Noah. All right, let's get El Predictor in the box. How you doing, El Predictor?
Hey, what's up?
Predictor, are you at least 18 and are you a believer?
Yeah, I'm 25
Cool.
and I'm Catholic.
Cool. So you believe in the Bible God.
Yeah.
Now, do you believe that the Bible God is all good?
No,
Oh, shit. Well, then we agree. What are you doing here?
because the God is not good. God is good.
Well,
He's dope as hell.
you just said you don't think he's all good.
Yeah, no, like the Bible. God is good, but the Bible isn't.
The Bible's not good? All right,
Not some, not all of it, not all of it.
let's try this from the beginning. This is crazy. Okay. So the God of the
Yeah,
Bible, the God you believe in, that God
yeah.
is all good, 100% good, or only partially good?
He's 100% good. That king
Okay.
is good.
Okay, so you do think that God is all good.
Yeah,
Okay, fantastic. Now, the Bible, when it talks about God, is it saying true
it
things
gets
about,
tricky.
is it
No,
saying,
it gets tricky. I don't trust anyone who wrote in that. I'm not
try,
gonna lie to you.
just listen to my question. When the Bible speaks of God, should we trust what
Yeah.
it says about God?
No, not all of it.
Okay, so we can't use the Bible for this conversation because you don't believe in the Bible. Fantastic. But you do believe maybe in church teaching?
Yeah.
Okay. And you do believe in like the church teaching that like God created the cosmos and the world and everything in it?
The creative order. Hell yeah.
And you do believe in church teaching that like non-believers go to hell or no?
Yeah, only positives, only good morality comes out of that. No negatives to that.
Well, no, I'm just trying to figure out what you believe, right? Because not everyone's the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
Okay, and not every
That's why.
Catholic believes in hell. There's a lot of Catholics. I knew Catholics growing up that believed basically everybody ended up in purgatory and then eventually went to heaven unless you were like the worst person to ever live. So I'm just trying to figure out where you're at. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll use a generic argument for the sake of your particular background. So, um, you believe that God created the world specifically for human beings to live in it?
Yeah.
Okay. And being that God is all good, do you agree that the definition of being all good entails that you always do the best possible thing and you don't cause unnecessary harm?
Yeah.
Okay. So my contention with this particular argument is, or this particular idea is that I think if a God created this world, they are intentionally causing harm. And the thing that I typically point to is, in fact, natural disasters, because natural disasters don't seem to be targeted. They seem to be random. They seem to just be a product of the way the earth was made, and it just randomly causes harm. This, to me, isn't parsimonious with a God that is 100% good.
No, that's full of cap. Not gonna lie to you. You just capping out the ass.
Cap about what?
You just capping.
About what?
Even that logic makes no sense. The natural disasters. I mean, for you to blame God on natural disasters, I mean, damn, I mean, he'll take everything, he'll take it to his hand and take all the faults, but we can't blame him for natural disasters. With this logic, like natural disasters are just you just saying God is creating these natural disasters. He's bored one day and just saying, like, yeah, let's make a tornado here, a tsunami
I didn't
there,
say that.
a volcano there. But it's just like, for example, I guess if I had to compare it, it's like a natural disaster in our stomach, I guess. It's like God created all the food we have in our world,
But
right?
focus.
But
We're not talking
but
about
we have to take
food. We're
no,
talking about
hear me
natural
out. We have to
disasters.
take accountability. So, for example, if someone's just consuming junk food and then there's a natural disaster in their stomach, then we have to take accountability and find out what caused that natural disaster, not just be like, well,
Okay.
God created it, so
Okay.
it's
So
God's fault.
who caused
No,
volcanoes?
many things,
Like what?
earthquakes, uh,
Huh?
um,
Tectonic
in El Salvador,
plates.
yeah, in El Salvador, it's lots of, yeah, like that word you just said,
Yep.
all of that.
Yep. Lava pressure rising up to the surface.
Yeah, it's all explained.
These are natural phenomenons, aren't they?
Yeah,
Okay. So
beautiful.
volcanoes existed for theoretically millions of years, right?
Yeah, shout out.
Okay, so is the Earth causing volcanoes or are humans causing volcanoes?
Earth is causing volcanoes,
Okay,
but then
and who
the
created the Earth?
eruptions are caused by both
The eruptions are caused by nature.
and humans sometimes, not gonna lie.
I've never, I mean, there might be a case I'm unaware of it, but for the majority of
Yeah.
human history, volcanoes are a product of nature and they explode because of human nature. They erupt because of how pressure works. So this is a product of nature. Who created nature?
God created an original nature.
Okay, so God created nature, right? Did he know ahead of
Yeah.
time that the way he created nature, it would result in volcanoes?
No, it evolved, unfortunately, it evolved.
No, that wasn't my question. My question is, did he know when he
No, he
created
didn't.
so he's not all knowing?
No, he does, but he didn't think us humans were gonna be able to do what we do too.
Well, listen to my question. My question isn't whether or not anything evolved. My question is, did God know when he created the planet that the way it was created would result in volcanoes?
Oh yeah, he knows. He knows. He knows. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. So if he knew and he created
yeah,
it that way anyways, that means he was okay with the
yeah,
volcanoes, because he could have created the planet in a way in which there would never be volcanoes at all, right?
yeah,
Okay, but he didn't do that, which means he created the planet intentionally, knowing it would have volcanoes, right?
yeah. 100%.
Okay, did he have to do it that way?
No, he didn't.
Okay, that means the volcanoes are unnecessary, right?
Yeah, he can do what he wants.
Okay, so if volcanoes are unnecessary, that means God created unnecessary suffering.
No, because that's not suffering. There's also benefits to it.
No one
It's not
suffers
just
when they get
negatives.
swallowed up in lava.
Yeah, but we have to take accountability of us getting swallowed by lava. We're just gonna blame God because people die of lava or something?
Why are we accountable for a volcano exploding?
Because we need to be aware and hold accountable what's next to us. Also, maybe try to solve the volcanoes of stop erupting them, maybe.
How are we going to
Maybe
solve
figure
it?
that out.
You can't
Let's do
solve
it.
volcanoes. All right,
You giving up?
let's try
You a
let's try
quitter?
this to begin from the
Come on,
beginning.
bro.
We'll try this again, predictor. So volcanoes don't need to exist. They do exist, right? And
Yeah, they
the
do.
reality is
Just like lots of things.
they
Just like
cause
lots of
a
things.
lot of harm. In fact, even if you don't get swallowed up in the lava, sometimes they
Yeah.
explode and have huge clouds that result in acid rain, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't humans' fault. We didn't create acid rain. We didn't create volcanoes, right? So why do they need to exist?
Because there's benefits to volcanoes as well.
Like what?
Like temperature.
What do you mean?
Like like the ozone layer, 100%.
The ozone layer
Come on now.
is not helped by volcanoes.
Yeah, it is.
This guy can't be
You
serious.
can,
The ozone layer is not helped
what?
by volcanoes.
Sorry, I mean, I don't have pride, so if I'm wrong, I'm using the wrong word. It's something related to like the ozone layer. My bad.
I know
Maybe I'm
of
using the wrong term here.
nothing
But there's
related.
lots of I'm from El Salvador, so we're top 20 when it comes to volcanoes in the world. So when you start talking to me about volcanoes, there's 100% benefits to it.
Like what?
I'm trying to tell you,
You have
weather, crops,
weather? You mean weather?
yeah, that's my stubborn accent
How do
coming out. My bad.
volcanoes help the
I speak
weather?
3 languages. You said what?
How does volcano eruptions help the weather?
Well, it makes it hot, also makes the clouds shift to a certain direction, and also makes
It doesn't make the
the
weather
wind.
hotter.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
And it also makes it super humid, 100%.
Yeah,
To the
because
point where it won't rain for months,
yeah,
and
because
it's
it's
just going to be
raining
humidity
acid.
all around. No, even when it doesn't rain at all for months, it's just a consistent humid in the El Salvador tropic region.
Where's the humidity coming from?
The volcanoes, it's all
Volcanoes aren't
filled up.
humid. It's molten rock and lava.
I don't know, bro. I just think you're being specific about this one example. Like, for
I am
example,
being
you don't have the
specific.
same passion.
That's how
No,
specifics
but
work.
you're not having the same logic with like a tornado or a
I
hurricane, right?
am.
Like,
I
it
use
just fits your
I use
narrative.
volcanoes because it's just one thing, but we could use
No, it's
hurricanes.
just
We could literally use
no,
earthquakes.
because
We
then
could
you have
use
pie in your face when you do that.
tornadoes. No, all of them work for this argument. It doesn't matter which.
No, you have pie in your
It
face if
doesn't
you
matter
start saying
which.
tornadoes.
It doesn't matter which natural disaster you point to. None of them are
Yeah.
necessary. So the fact of the matter is, the God you believe in causes unnecessary suffering via natural disasters, but he doesn't have
No,
to.
you can't compare one of the 7 wonders of the world to hurricanes and tornadoes. You even just yourself admitted what is the cause of volcanoes? What
What do you
makes a
think the
volcanoes?
7 wonders
No
of the
one
world
knows the
are?
history of volcanoes. No, volcanoes are not in it, but they should be 100% added to it.
You think volcanoes are man-made wonder of the world?
Dude, we don't even know what it comes from. We don't even know what it
This guy's
is.
crazy.
So
All right. Listen, you're not intelligent enough to
come
have this
on, I'm not
conversation,
cuckoo.
and you're not a real person. I refuse to believe there's a real person that is this ridiculous. All right. We're going to move on to the next guest. Marcus, my friend, thank you for the super chat. Says, LOL, I'm literally a mechanic trying to leave the field, going back to school in August for computer science. Well, Marcus, as a longtime programmer, I can tell you, you won't regret computer science. Do it. Do computer science. or electrical engineering or something of that nature. Shit, do some embedded controls. Lord Illuminous Poo, thank you so much for the super chat. Says I was kicked out of Weight Watchers for rude nicknames. I left with huge grace. They kicked her out too. Wait, what? All right, Illuminous, let me make sure I understand you correctly. So I was kicked out of Weight Watchers for rude names. I left with huge grace. They kicked her out too. I don't listen, Lord. I appreciate what you're saying. I think I'm too dumb to get the joke that if it's a joke, what you're saying. I apologize for that. That's my bad. I'll have to spend some time and think about that. Apparently, Stay Woke says host is not a programmer. Stay Woke, you're a clown. That's what I know. And yes, I am. Nathan says, when you were a pastor, what were your most typical responses to answers to the difficult question you currently stump these believers with? This is actually a really good question, Nathan. So typically my answers to like these difficult questions would be that either one, it's a mystery. Like when we talk about the Trinity, I was willing to accept that it's a mystery, right? If it was something that seemed bad, I was willing to accept that like it seems bad, but God must have a reason. But these are answers for lazy people. Once you stop being lazy, these aren't good answers, and then you leave the faith like what I did. Stephen says, does God have any critical thinking skills? I don't think so. I don't think so, friend. And Hannah, good to see you, friend, says, hi, Justin. Can you give us insight on the Shroud of Turin? Theists always point to that stuff. Hannah, I can. All I can tell you that it's been carbon dated by multiple laboratories to be from about the 12th century or so, 13th century, in that range. It's a forgery. When it was first found, the Pope and the anti-Pope at the time admitted that it was a forgery. There were people who even witnessed who forged it. It's got a mixture of real blood and red ochre on it for coloring. The weave of the flax fiber is a weave that didn't exist in Jesus' time period. What else is there to say? We actually do have an ancient burial shroud from the time period of Jesus. I forget exactly where it's from, but James Tabor knows a lot about it. He did a lot of research on it. So you can look up James Tabor real shroud and see what it would have looked like. It also experienced lots of damage, like fire damage and other things like that. It doesn't really seem to be authentic. Bertram, thank you so much for the super live star on TikTok. I appreciate that. And Dunzo, thank you so much for the money gun. I appreciate that as well. All right, let me grab one more super chat, and then we'll get our next guest in here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can join as well. You don't have to be on TikTok. There's a link in the description. Marcus says, just looked up if humans ever forced or induced a volcanic eruption. Science, how stuff works, says it's laughably impossible. Gotta love aggressive and wrong people. He doesn't have pride. Ella. Listen, first, Marcus, I agree with you. But second of all, I think he was a troll. Maybe I'm being silly, but I cannot think someone is that silly. Like they have to be a troll. No one can be that ridiculous. But I could be wrong. All right, let me grab the next guest in the guest queue. I think it's Jay. I think Jay and Lake came in at the same time. Welcome in, Jay.
Hey, I'm probably not gonna be on here for too long because I was like curious if you were talking specifically about like the Christian God, which I can't argue for that.
Well, I mean, there are arguments that work for a non-Christian God given certain properties. So
yeah, like it's got to work within the confines of physics and somehow it has to exist in a way where it can have all foreknowledge of the future events, but somehow we still are able to have free will if you even choose to believe in free will. It's complicated.
Right. So my argument kind of works if you believe in a triomni God, like if you believe God is all good, all knowing, and all powerful. But like a lot of people don't believe in a triomni God. A lot of people will say, well, God is all knowing, but he's not all good. Well, in that case, then we agree. God's not good.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
my whole kind of thing. I think if there was a God, and you can call this silly, I think it would kind of work a little bit like the Force in Star Wars.
Right. You're like Spinoza's God.
I don't know, man.
Right.
But I also just wanted to say real quick, I don't think that last guy was a troll, dude.
Are people really that silly? That can't be.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude,
It's crazy.
it's real.
The world
It's
we're
like
living
it's not
in.
even their own fault, really. Even it's just the lack of education in the country.
I think you're right. Actually, I think you're right. Well, Jay, man,
Yeah.
thanks for stopping in. I'm gonna grab someone who disagrees with me that we can kind of go a few
Yeah,
rounds
no,
with.
for sure. But thanks for letting me on.
Absolutely. Cheers, for man. I hope you have a good one.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Dias are fun. I think Dias is more parsimonious with the world around us. Kyle Boyd, thank you so much for the $25 over Venmo. Big W, friend. I appreciate that, Kyle. And Kyle says, whoop, whoop. We are cooking already. Yeah, we are doing some cooking, that's for sure. All right, I promise to get Lake in here next, and then we're going to get Jesse. Welcome in, Lake.
Yo, how's it going?
Good, thank you for asking. Lake, are you at least 18, and are you a believer?
Yes,
Cool.
yes.
Cool. What kind of a God do you believe in?
I believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You know, the God that created the universe, the one who taught me how the heaven was put together and how everything was designed, and also my purpose and the reason why the world is in such chaos
Sure.
and how he wants to save us out of it.
Sure. So do you believe that Jesus is God as well?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to run a syllogism by you real quick. And I want you to tell me what you think of it. I want to use an easy argument to start with. Premise number one is that God is good. You agree with that?
Yes.
And by good, do you mean all good?
Yes.
Okay. Premise number two is that someone who is not good or all good could not be God, right?
No.
So God could
So
be
God,
bad?
God is just a title, so God just means power,
So God is a
right?
category.
So this is the title. So when people say, "Do you believe in God?" There are many gods in the world.
Oh,
You can make
shit.
yourself
Lake, how many gods do you believe in?
one,
You just said there were many
one,
gods in the world.
right? So the scripture says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me."
Okay,
Right?
we'll try this
That means
again.
so.
How
What that
many
means, it means
how many gods do you think exist, Lake?
only one true God.
I didn't ask you about a true God. I said how many gods do you think exist?
People make many gods.
I didn't ask you if people made gods. I said how many gods do you think exist?
We're all gods. So
So
a
we're
lot of
gods
gods.
now? Am I taking
That's
crazy pills today? What's happening? Okay,
that's what the scripture
you can't
says.
say that we're all gods and then say there's only one God.
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to explain to you, but you won't listen. That God means power,
It does not.
right? If you look it up,
That's not the definition of God.
look at them. What is the definition of God?
It's a sentient acting agent that created all things, or at least created some things.
Well, so I don't know where you're getting your
Didn't you say
information
you're a
from.
Christian?
Yes, I believe in the
Have
Son of
you
God.
actually read the Bible?
Yes,
Okay, what's the Bible say about how many gods?
that's what I'm saying. If you understand the commandments, right? When he said, "Thou shalt have no other gods,"
But are they
if
real
God
gods or fake
is,
gods?
these are fake gods, but
Okay,
they
so
are idols.
I'm asking about real gods. How many real gods are there?
One.
Okay, so there's only one real God. Finally, we got to the.
Okay, so
Finally,
when I
you
say
found the
that,
plot.
when I say that, I mean that there's only one source of life.
Yeah, I know.
That means that
Just
life only comes from this source alone.
yeah, just follow along. Okay, so premise number one: the one real God is good. Premise number two: someone cannot be that one real God if they're not good. Do you agree?
Right. That God is good. So that
Yeah.
he is good.
Okay. Okay. So you can't be the one God. You can't be the one real God if you're not good. We agree there. So last premise, premise number three is Jesus is not good. Do you agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Okay. Jesus, why do you disagree?
Why is he good?
No. Why do you say that he's good?
Because he obeyed everything God commanded him to do.
Interesting. Well, Jesus disagrees with you.
Huh?
Well, Jesus disagrees with you. He says in the Gospel of Mark, "Why do you call me good? No one is good but God alone."
Right.
Which means if Jesus is God, then it's not necessary for God to be good. Or he's not God.
Again, I think there's a separation between the spirit and the flesh.
That's not meaningful.
So again, he wants to make it very clear, because if you're looking at the book of Revelation, right, at the end of time, what's going to happen is who you call Jesus, which is Yahushua, is going to get it.
Did you say Yahushua? I swear I'm being
Yeah.
punked today. Where did you get where did you get Yahushua from?
There's it's the Hebrew name for Yahshua, for what you call Jesus, right?
That's not true.
Yes, it is. The J didn't even exist at the time.
That's okay. So the Hebrew name for Jesus is Yeshua in the short. In the long, it's Yehoshua.
Right.
Not Yahusha. Okay, so the argument so far is a simple one. Premise number one, God is good. Premise number two, someone that is not good cannot be God. Premise number three, Jesus is not good, according to his own words. Conclusion, Jesus is not good, or he's not God. Or, Jesus is not God is probably the clearest conclusion.
Again, the whole purpose of what Yahushua came to do in this world was, dude, like, I can't even have a conversation with you, because there's no really point of even wasting breath talking to you, because your heart is so dark and closed. And
my heart is dark and closed.
Whether you believe it or not, dude, this is a real thing, and one day you're gonna have to be accountable for everything.
Do you think that all of God's commands are good?
Yes.
Every single one of them?
When God commands you to do something, he's wiser than you, and therefore he's doing it for a reason.
Right, but all of the commands are good is what you're saying, right?
Yes. He's doing it for a reason.
Right. So if I read you some commands of God, can you tell me if they're good or bad?
Okay.
Have you read through the 10 Commandments?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know that there's a punishment for breaking the Sabbath?
Yes.
Do you know what the punishment is?
Yes, death.
Oh, shit. Do you think that's a good command?
Yeah.
Shit. When was the last time you executed someone for breaking the Sabbath?
Also, again, there's a different way of keeping the Shabbat now.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Well, you still keep it, but because of the blood of Yahushua, you're now. Yeah.
Every time you say Yahusha, I'm gonna laugh. Just so you know.
Yeah, that's fine. It's say you're the one that's mocking him, so
I'm not mocking him. I'm mocking you.
Yeah, you are. So, nevertheless, what happens is there is his son who came into the world. So therefore, now you have to accept him into your life.
Why?
Right, and therefore there is mercy through him now, because he is the high priest who is interceding for us when we are foolish like this. You're calling people.
What are you talking about? We're talking about the Sabbath. Try to stay on track, okay? So
That's what I'm
the
saying.
punishment for breaking the Sabbath is that you get stoned, right?
Right.
Okay, and do you think that was a good law or a bad law?
For that time, it was perfectly good for what God was trying to do.
And why? Why was it good?
Because the world was corrupted, and God was trying to set these people apart from the world.
Yeah, but why does it need to be punished by death?
Because God is perfect, and disobedience from the law is death.
Okay,
separation from God is death.
Yeah, but who created that result? Like, who created that consequence?
God,
Oh,
because he can't
so
dwell
that like you're
with
talking
evil.
about it like, oh golly gee, God couldn't do anything about it, but he created that consequence, right? So if sin is separation from God, that's God's decision. That's not an accidental consequence.
It's his character. Like he can't dwell with sin. Like
So
imagine you being holy and you can't just let things pass by without bringing some type of judgment. Like because it's the righteous thing to do.
okay,
You're in
so why
control
is
of the
Satan alive?
universe. Huh?
Why is Satan alive?
Why unalive?
No, why is Satan alive? The most evil, wicked entity that's ever been created.
Because
Why does God allow Satan to live when he has to kill people for breaking the Sabbath?
because of love.
Because of love.
Right.
That's not loving.
So
Listen.
what it means?
Well, we'll try
It
this.
means
Well, like, just
love
pay
doesn't
attention.
force,
Pay,
right?
pay attention, Lake. You're saying it's good for God to
Right,
kill
1
people
minute.
for simply working on the Sabbath. He has to do it because he's all just. But when I point to something way more evil than breaking the Sabbath, you're like, well, it wouldn't be loving if God killed him. Do you see the problem?
I'm saying that there is a time for that.
Why? Why is there a time? Why doesn't he do it right now?
Because this is how it is. That's his design.
I
He's
didn't
doing
ask.
it for.
I didn't ask you if it was design. I said why. Why is it loving to kill humans when they sin, but it's good for God to let the devil sin?
I think there's just a different time frame. So
We're not talking about
we,
time frame. We're talking about the
live in
nature
different.
of good and
We
evil,
live in
right?
different realms.
So why
There's
does
a.
God have to punish humans when they sin, but he doesn't have to punish Satan?
It doesn't matter. He's just going to punish sin. So we know
We'll
there's a
try this
time.
again, Lake. Why does God want humans to be punished, but not Satan to be punished?
He wants all sin is going to be punished.
Then how come he only punishes humans?
He doesn't. He punishes evil.
No, he doesn't punish evil because he literally
Understand?
when
The
Satan
devil.
sinned in your worldview, he didn't punish
He's already
Satan. He
judged.
literally
Do you
made
not
Satan
understand
the
that?
god of the world.
He's already judged.
Just pay attention. So when Satan sinned, rather than punishing him, he made him the god of this world. Why would he do that?
Again, it's all a test for our salvation.
So God
It's
allows
all
the most
love.
evil entity possible to live because he wants to test us.
Right, free choice.
So Satan only does what God
We have
wants.
to be. We have to have the choice
So
to choose to be separated from God by
does
choosing the
Satan
enemy.
do
We
what
have
God
to have
wants
that
him to
choice.
do?
No.
Okay, so Satan disobeys God.
Right.
So he's sinning.
He's so in the story of Job. I know that
You're going to make it
the
worse.
enemy.
Don't do it.
Dude, this chill. The enemy has to go to Yah in order to ask him if
Uh-huh.
he can do something or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the
But
story.
again, God already is thinking ahead. He already knows everything that's going to happen.
Then why is
But
he
so
making a bet with Satan?
because he is love. He can't force anything. He has to let this play out
Well, first of all,
for a time.
that's not true. The story is not that Satan came up and said, "Hey, I'm going to do some shit," and Yahweh was like, "Okay, go for it." In fact, that's not at all what happened. What happened was Satan came up into God's presence. You said sin couldn't be in God's presence, but you're a liar because Satan's in God's presence. He comes up to God and he says, "Hey, man, I've been walking around on the earth," and God initiates it and says, "Hey, have you checked out my servant Job?" So God initiates this whole bet with Satan.
Right. Okay. Your
Which
point?
means God is responsible for what Satan does. Which means
You're
if Satan does evil, that means God's responsible for Satan's evil.
No, it's because it's free choice, dude.
No, it's not free
Like
choice.
just it is.
Well, so we'll try this again. I know this is difficult, so I want to make sure we're covering all the bases here. So when humans sin, like when they break the Sabbath, God has to have them stoned. They don't get free choice; they must die. When Satan sins, it's okay; he gets free choice. Why?
Again, he's making a separation, dude.
What separation?
He's sifting out the good from the bad.
Does God not already know that? Does he not know what's in everyone's heart?
Yeah, but we
So
have to
what's
know why we're choosing. Why we're choosing.
so what's he need Satan for?
We need to, in the end of our lives, when we are before God in the judgment, and He says you're going to hell, you can't say why. Why am I
Yeah,
going
I'm going to
there?
ask the same question. Why does God need Satan?
This is just because sin has to be destroyed forever, so God can continue to create.
Doesn't answer the question. Why does God need Satan?
What was that?
Why does God need Satan?
Because sin has to be eradicated from the world. So this is
But
an example
Satan's
of
not
what
eradicating
separates from
sin.
God.
Satan's causing
That's what I'm
sin. So
saying.
we'll try this again.
Right.
So that's not the
So
answer. So why does God need Satan?
because the universe needed to see how the kingdom of the enemy would operate, how the world would operate under the kingdom of darkness.
Why do they need to see
and
that?
this is what he did. Because God is proposing sin needs never to rise again, but people don't believe these things.
No. Why do human beings need to see Satan's kingdom?
Because then they can choose whether they want to live in darkness or if they want to live in peace.
So right now we're living in darkness?
Yes, but there's a light.
Oh shit. Why? Why are we living in darkness when God could allow us to live in the light?
He is allowing us to live in the light.
No, you said we're in darkness.
We are.
It's like you don't even hear the words coming out of your mouth. Okay.
Dude, what are you
So
talking about?
are we currently
world, right?
whose kingdom are we living in right now?
This is the kingdom of the enemy, but the kingdom
Okay.
of God is within you.
So we're living
and the
in
kingdom of God is coming.
to pay attention to your words, okay? You said we're living in the kingdom of the enemy. Why the fuck does the enemy have his own kingdom? Why doesn't God just get rid of the clown?
That's what I'm because people need to choose freely.
Choose what?
The enemy, life or death.
But why do we need to live in a kingdom to choose God?
Because you have to taste this life. You have to see this life. This is
that's not true because you believe, I assume, that children who die get to automatically go to heaven.
I do not know what happens to those
You don't
those
know?
children.
You think God sends babies to hell?
No, I don't know what happens to them. I don't hear anything about that in the scriptures, so I can't tell you.
Well, I'm not asking you if you know. I'm asking you to think logically. Do you think that God would send babies to hell?
I wouldn't think so.
Why? And why not? Why wouldn't he do that?
Because they haven't got to get a tongue and a mouth to speak all these crazy things like we do all the time.
Okay, so the people going to hell should be the people that deserve to be in hell. Now, the people that are in heaven, as it turns out, there's a lot of people in heaven that don't know shit about Satan. They died before they even had awareness. So if God can allow those people into heaven, if God can allow those people into heaven, why can't he allow everyone else to go in heaven without Satan?
That's why you need to really be careful too, because you know a lot about.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, that's right. You seem to know your way around the scriptures.
That's why I'm not worried.
And you will be judged about those things because you're being the teacher of lies right now.
No, I'm being the teacher of truth. Do you think that slavery was good or bad?
Dude, slavery, talking about the slavery of the black people, I think that was bad because that was bad. There was no morality in that.
All forms.
I believe I am a slave right now. I have to go back to work.
You're not a slave. You have a job. Slaves, even in the Bible, slaves and workers are different people. So don't make that dumb.
Okay, people in the scripture who are slaves.
Let me ask you a question. Lake, take a deep breath. Okay,
I gotta get back to work.
You don't have to say all your words right now. Okay, so do you think there's a functional difference between being an employed worker and also being an African American slave? Do you think those are the same thing?
Not necessarily, but it's technically the same thing.
What's the same thing? What's the same thing? What makes you?
Hold on,
Lake. Hey, Lake. You didn't even hear my question. What makes you, as an employee, the same as an African American slave?
Again?
What makes you, as an employee, the same thing as an African American slave?
Oh, está aquí. Ahí, señor. ¿En esta mesa? ¿Sí? No. Oh, esta. All right, hey, bro, I gotta get back to work, man. But Dude, everybody just keep reading the Bible. Just keep searching, just
Oh,
keep
we
trying
are
to
reading the
learn.
Bible. That's why we know this God
Just
is
keep
horrific.
learning.
Okay. Well, he had to go back to work. Let me grab a couple super chats. We'll get right into our next conversation. Welcome in, everybody. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link to join in the description of the video. If you're watching on TikTok, you know how to join. Mark D says, I saw the sexism at Faith's channel yesterday. Christian love. Actually, when you go to Leaving Faith's channel, there's tons of sexism. It's all over the place. It's rampant in religion. And Crucifix Me says, burning in hell, try new skin balm. Hail Doug. We do need a line of Doug products like skin ointments. We need the baby Jesus, foreskin nard oil. That needs to happen. Lord Illumina says, I read an article about an 83-year-old lady marrying an 87-year-old man and thought, oh, that's not going to last. Actually, that's a good joke. It's not, but it's adorable. Love is beautiful at all ages, guys. Peter, my friend, welcome in, says, was reading the York Mystery Plays, 15th century Middle English, and came across line V. Mary, says, to thee, son mine that made me. Christianity is so weird. I don't know what York Mystery Plays are. I feel like I'm missing some prerequisites to understand what you're saying here, Peter. But yeah, the whole God had to knock up his mother to give birth to himself is crazy. Cheap Snack says, I've never sinned more than eating this all-you-can-eat crab leg feast. Now for some Christian a la mode. Happy Monday cookout, you heathens. Well, thank you, Cheap Snack, for being here. I really appreciate it. And W616, Nero, the true mark of the beast is obviously Nero. And the Freemason pilot says, going to school to become a mechanic and changing all my profiles to my artist name, Onyx. Well, thanks for letting us know. We'll be sure to have a lookout for you. And Big W, remember to get a good nail file to clean the grease from your fingernails. Peter says, we're all inside God. It's not that kind of a big bang. That's a good one, Peter. That is a good one. It's not that kind of a big bang. Oh, shit. I appreciate that. Hannah coming in and says, thank you, Justin, for the insight. Well, Hannah, I'll help any way that I can, my friend. Aaron says, these believers are speaking gibberish. That's the truth. That's the cold, hard truth, actually. And Hannah coming in another time, thank you so much, friend, says, I'm very concerned by the theists in the live chat. The way they so freely preach some of the most sickening things is so disturbing. Yeah. That's why I do this topic. It does bring out the worst of the chat. Typically, it's hard to watch. All right, I got like 3 more super chats. Cutlery says, "Sorry, huge grace." Cutlery, I don't know. I don't know if that fixes the joke that came in earlier. I don't know what huge grace is supposed to mean. I'm so sorry. And Nordic Spice says, I may not be perfect, but Jesus thinks I'm to die for. Hail, Doug. Rock hard for sharing. That's a good joke. I appreciate that. I love some good priest jokes, too. Those are my favorites. Kyle M says, so does God's power depend on us believing in him to have any power, in reference to Mark 6:1-5? Actually, I just added that recently to my list of Philbro syllogisms. So I would take a look for that one. And I agree. If Jesus can't do something, that means he's not the God. And last one from our friend Cheese. Thank you so much, Cheese, for the 1999. Big W, friend. Says, God creates prophecy of revelations that depend on Satan doing highly specific actions. If Satan can fulfill God's prophecy, Satan is obliged to God's divine plan. By that logic, Satan is good because he does what God wants. So, Cheese, this seems to be the case. Even Jesus says Satan has requested to sift you, which means Satan can't really do anything unless he gets God's permission. And if Satan can't do anything without God's permission, that means he only does what God wants him to do. So which means all the shit that Satan does, God's on the hook for. All right, we're going to get, I was going to get our guest Jesse into the chat. Jesse popped out. I don't know what happened to Jesse, but we got Nebraska Steve back with us. Welcome in, Nebraska Steve.
Yeah, hey Justin, thanks for having me again as a guest on your program. So we previously discussed my belief in the Supreme Elohim, whose signature I believe has been found written in life's genetic code based on these structural components, cumulative atomic masses of amino acids among those determined by the first two sequential nucleotides.
Sure, but
that
we're
encourage the
we're
whole
talking
family
today about
coexistence.
whether or not you believe God is good. Do you believe that God is all good?
Okay, so I've established that the Elohim is life's creator, and life is good. So therefore, the supreme Elohim is good.
But is he all good?
No, he's overall good, but no, he's not always good.
Oh, then we agree. God's not always good. Cool.
Okay,
That's it. That's the end of that's the end of that one.
Yeah. So that's
Thanks
the
for
topic
stopping
of
by,
our
buddy.
discussion, and we agree. All right, cool.
Yeah, Big W, we agree on something.
All right.
All right, cheers, buddy. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Nebraska Steve's always fun to talk to. Jesse did come back, so let me grab Jesse from the queue, and then we'll get somebody from our TikTok queue. Welcome in, Jesse.
Hi there. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Jesse, are you at least 18, and do you believe in God?
Yes, and yes.
Sure. And which God do you believe in?
The King of America, Jesus Christ.
Sure. Do you think that this particular God concept is all good or partially good?
He is all good. He is what is good.
Right. Okay. So he doesn't do
So he is good.
Sure. He doesn't do anything that's not good.
What he does, you might perceive as bad, but is good.
Right. But what I asked you was, is everything he does good? And I assume the answer to that's yes. Okay. Are all of his
Yes.
commands
He is the
good?
embodiment of good, so he can't do bad by definition.
So he's not all powerful?
He is all powerful, correct. But he's
Well-
also bound. He's also bound in logic. So
He's
this is
bound?
kind of where a lot of atheists don't know this, and they've never looked into the ontological argument of God,
Oh, trust me,
which was done by Saint Anselm in the 1500s.
We know all the bad Philbro arguments for
Well,
God.
let me give you the Orthodox and Catholic definition of
Jesse,
God.
we're not actually talking about whether or not God exists right now. We're talking about whether or not the God you believe in is good.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, he's good.
Okay. Is he all good?
Yes.
Okay. And you believe all of his commands are good?
Correct.
And do you think all of his actions are good?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that the death of the innocents is good? Like children?
Well, there is, or you mean the death of the flesh?
No. Like executing babies, is that good?
Right. So death of the flesh. But the soul doesn't die. The soul is
I'm asking
immortal,
you about
right?
the soul. I'm asking you about here on the earth where you and I live.
Uh-huh.
If somebody
Uh-huh.
slaughters an infant, is it good or bad?
Well, we might perceive it as bad, but it could be good.
It could be good. What would make it good?
It could be good. Well, how could it be good?
Yeah. What would
well,
make that
that's
good?
I couldn't necessarily justify it, but God could justify it.
How? Does he have different logic than you?
He has better logic than me.
What's the
He
difference?
knows how to use it better than I do.
What's the difference
Well,
between his logic and your logic?
He's all knowing, right? So you ever heard the story of the China farmer
No.
who lost his horse? So there's a farmer in China who one day his horse runs away, and the village goes, "Oh, that's terrible," and he says, "Maybe." And then the next day his horse comes back with 3 other horses, and the town says, "Oh, that's so good," and the man says, "Maybe." And then the next day, his son is out helping the horses and he breaks his arm. And the town goes, "Oh, that's so bad." And he says, "Maybe." And then the next day, China goes to war, comes through the town and drafts all the boys. His son is excluded because of his arm. And the town goes, "Oh, that's so good." And he says, "Maybe."
Yeah, but no one's questioning whether or not like good things can come from bad things. No one is questioning that.
Well, hold on. So there's this tribe in Papua New Guinea called the Cum Warriors of Papua New Guinea. Have you ever heard of them?
No, but please tell me another story that's irrelevant.
Well, no, this is a real tribe. You can look them up. They're called the Cum Warriors of Papua New Guinea. When the boys reach adolescent age, puberty, the men take them out, and men take turns ejaculating into the boys' mouths and force them to swallow it. And the boys actually enjoy.
Okay, so Jesse, here's what's going to happen. We're not going to tell this story. I don't know what world you live in, but this is not a story that's actually appropriate for TikTok. You'll literally get my live taken down, and at this point, I'm starting to think that you're actually a troll. You're not for real, because this is not a story that a grown ass man having a normal conversation would be telling. So, did you want to get back on topic, or are you just outing yourself as a troll right now?
Well, that's a real tribe.
I don't care.
Well, if God destroyed that tribe for that, would you say that's a good thing?
I don't think God should be in the business of destroying anyone, but that has nothing to do with what we're actually talking about.
It does.
So
that tribe is disgusting.
It
that
does.
tribe is disgusting.
That's your opinion, Jesse. And again, we're not discussing this particular.
You don't think that's disgusting?
I didn't even hear what you said about the tribe because I muted you, because what we're not going to do is get my live stream taken down because you've got a sick mind. So
that's not me being sick. It's a
Jesse's got some problems. So Jesse, I don't.
You could look up the tribe. Just
Jesse,
Google it
I don't care.
on here.
No one's looking.
I know you don't.
No one's looking.
Fact.
No one's looking up your tribe. It's irrelevant to what
they
we're talking about.
They are looking it up right now. In fact,
no one
it's
cares.
a real thing.
They're not looking it up because they
put that it's a real thing.
They're not looking it up because they didn't even hear what you said because I muted you.
So if God destroyed a tribe,
Jesse, I know you desperately want to take control of the conversation because you're feeling like hot under the collar, but you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. I've got power of the mute button. I'm not going to let you dodge the actual conversation by bringing up like some weird tribe that you don't like. So with all due respect, would you like to get back on track with where we left off on the conversation?
Sure.
Okay,
how can I show you elsewise that God is good then? If I can't give you an
not
example
your goal,
of
Jesse, that's not your task right now.
You asked, is killing babies good?
Your task right now is to pay attention to what I'm saying, because I'm trying to reply to what you. I'm trying to respond to what you said before you went on this tangent with your stories. So no one here is saying that something good couldn't come from something bad. No one's saying that. Everyone here knows that sometimes something bad can happen, and then something good ends up as the result of that. That's not in question. Okay. The question I'm asking is, if you believe in an all-powerful God, can he accomplish the good thing without the bad thing?
Well, it's not a bad thing to him. It's a good thing.
It's a yes or no. Can God accomplish the outcome without the harm?
What's the harm, though?
Do you think getting slaughtered by the sword is harmful?
Well, again, I just tried to bring up an example of that, and you wouldn't let me.
We'll try this again, Jesse. It's a yes or no question. Do you think being slaughtered by a sword is harmful?
Maybe.
What do you mean maybe? How is it not harmful?
Maybe. I mean, bro, you won't let me give you an example of a terrible tribe, so I don't know what to tell you.
I don't want a whole story. Just give me a reason.
You don't want an example? Okay, do you want a reason, an example? I mean,
I want a reason.
It can be a good
thing.
Give me one reason. A tribe being wiped out could be a good thing.
Children, give me one good reason.
A tribe. Are they part of the tribe?
I'm not talking about a tribe, Jesse. I'm talking about a baby. Pay attention. Give me one good reason why a child being slaughtered by the sword would be a good thing.
So if the tribe was taken out,
I didn't ask about a tribe, Jesse. I said a baby.
Are you going to let me answer, or are you just going to keep interrupting me?
Not if you keep diverting. I didn't ask if a tribe gets slaughtered.
If an individual baby with nothing else known to me, if that can be a good or a bad thing, I'd say maybe. If you're not going to give me any qualifications to it, all I can say is maybe.
Shit, that's all you had. That's all you had to say, Jesse, was maybe. Now that you've actually given me an answer, and I made you give me the runaround to get the answer, explain why the maybe is a maybe rather than a yes or no.
Well, I would go back to that tribe as an example. Just wiping out a tribe in its entirety. Unfortunately, babies will be a collateral damage, if you will, to that.
Okay,
right?
Can God save the tribe's people without slaughtering them?
Well, you're assuming though
It's a
that
yes or no
when those
question,
babies
Jesse.
were slaughtered.
Jesse,
Hold on, you're
no,
assuming.
I'm not going to hold
Holy
on,
cow,
Jesse.
it's not.
I asked you a yes or no
Okay,
question.
ask the question again then. Ask the question again then.
Can God save the tribes
Uh-huh.
people without killing them?
God can do whatever he wants.
Okay, so if he can do it without killing them, that means killing them is not
Uh-huh.
necessary.
How do you know?
Is definitionally true. If God is capable of achieving his goal without executing them, that means definitionally killing them wasn't necessary.
Well, he killed their flesh only, right? So he could take their souls in. They could become one with God again, right?
To pay attention to what I'm saying, though.
Well, no, you need to pay attention because you're assuming
Jesse,
that people don't have
you
souls.
keep trying to.
And you think that when the no, stop for a second. Listen,
I'm not going to stop, Jesse. Every time you pivot to a different topic, I'm just going to mute you and redirect you. I don't know why you keep doing this. Be an actual adult and stay within the conversation. We're talking about being executed, sometimes rather brutally. I'm not talking about whether or not people have souls. That's a whole different conversation. I'm talking about the execution of a people group. Do you want to talk about that?
You're talking about God, right?
I'm talking about executing people right now.
About God executing people, dummy.
Jesse, pay attention.
Holy cow, bro, is your brain broke?
Jesse, I know this is hard for you. Like, I know you've never answered critical questions before. You've never used your thought processes yet, but I'm going to need you to put your big boy pants on and actually engage in some adult dialogue. Do you think you're capable of doing that?
Yes, dummy, I am. Let's do it.
Okay. Now,
if you can let me.
Jesse, you're not asking questions right now. I'm still trying to get an answer to my question. You need to stop talking and listen to my question before we can move on. I will not let you take over my live stream. Not going to do it. Okay. So
Okay, go ahead with your question.
Okay. So whatever God was accomplishing by executing the people, is he capable of accomplishing that without executing them?
Of course.
Okay. That means, by definition, if he's capable of achieving...
I thought we weren't talking about God.
Jesse, pay fucking attention.
You were talking about execution. You said specifically we weren't talking about...
Jesse, I don't know how long I can do this with you. There's lots of adults waiting to get in if you're not an adult. So I need you to actually focus up here. All we're doing is talking about definitions of words. So lock the fuck in and try to pay attention. Okay? So we're talking right now, Jesse. Okay? If God can accomplish something, if he's capable of doing it, and he's capable of doing it without the slaughtering, what that means is that the slaughtering is not a necessary component. Do you understand?
That's not true.
It is true.
If he did it, then it's necessary.
It's not necessary. We'll try this again. So
that's your opinion.
Definitionally, no, it's just a definition.
No, that's your opinion.
Jesse, it's not my opinion. It's definitionally true.
Opinion.
It's definitionally true. We'll try this again.
Doing something a different way doesn't mean it's the efficient way.
No,
dummy.
I didn't say anything about efficiency.
Yeah.
I said about necessary. We're talking about what's necessary.
Necessary, whatever.
God's not required to do anything.
Something two ways doesn't mean it's necessary.
God's not required to do anything efficiently, Jesse. He's required to do things in a way that causes the least amount of harm. That's the definition of being all good. You do what you need to do with causing the least amount of harm. It's baked into the definition. The efficiency of slaughtering babies has nothing to do with whether or not it's good or bad. In fact, I would imagine that doing it efficiently is a relative term. There's always a more efficient way to do something. So that's irrelevant. So what I'm trying to help you understand, Jesse, is if God, whatever his goal was with slaughtering people, if he could do the thing without slaughtering them, that means the slaughtering of them wasn't necessary to reach his end goal. And you already agreed to that. Do you still agree to that?
That's not at all true, what you just said.
It is true. So we'll try this again.
No, it's not.
It's just definitionally true.
It's definitionally not.
Okay, I'll give you an example because I don't think you're.
Let me give you an example. I'll let you talk here. Let me talk now.
You don't let me talk, Jesse. It's my fucking live stream. I don't know are you fucking concussed right now? Are you lost? Did you run out into the woods and forget your GPS? You're on my live stream. You'll never take over my live stream and demand me answer your questions while you're running from mine. Never going to happen. So you need to put your big boy boots on, pull your pants up, put your listening ears on, and actually pay attention to the flow of conversation. Now, if I can accomplish a goal, let's say my goal, I'm a doctor, my goal is to give this kid a vaccine. If I can accomplish the goal using the least amount of harm, which I'm required to as a doctor, I'm doing a good thing. So that means the poke of the needle, while it isn't fun, is necessary. It's a necessary thing. But if I walk in and I punch the kid in the nose and then I give them the shot, the punch in the nose is not necessary, right?
Well, what's good and what is harm?
So you can't even listen to what I'm saying. Did you hear anything I just said?
I did. The punch in the nose is on.
Okay, so we're just going to move on. Jesse, listen, when you reach adulthood, when your testes descend, let me know and come back. I'm not going to have this conversation with you. Like, there are literal 12-year-olds that can stay on track better than you. I assume all of your teachers in elementary school hated you. So you're just going to have to go somewhere else. You're not fit for this discussion. Straightforward says, looking forward to today's cooking lessons. Hey, I think we just did one. And Crispy Heretic says, God is perfect, but he got the virginity token thing way wrong. So I guess we're just changing what perfect means then. That's it, Crispy. Remember, words don't mean words with believers. They don't. Not just they don't, they can't. They can't mean what they mean. And Unashamed Apostate, good to see it, says, if God is all-knowing, why the arbitrary test seems a little sus. Yeah, there's like 6 or 7 different times, just literally in the Torah, where God says he tests people to know what is in their heart, which you don't have to do if you're all-knowing. That's irrelevant. You ain't got to do all that shit. DJ says, greetings from the Netherlands, where atheism is the norm. Where atheism is the norm. Thank God. I see what you did there. That was good. And greetings over to you in the Netherlands. Thank you for being here, friend. I appreciate that. And Kyle Boyd, thank you so much for the $225 over Venmo. Kyle says, yep, we're going to help them Christians see the truth, hopefully. We're going to try, Kyle. And Kyle also says, Kyle says, DoorDash me some watermelon. Yummy, yummy. Listen, I actually just bought some watermelon. I don't know how to get it to you, but I would if I could, friend. And Dustin says, God can't fire Satan because of a lawsuit having to do with God showing everyone his serpent at the office. That's it. You could say Satan's got him by the balls, even. You could say that. That's the thing. See what we did there? Okay. Let me grab just a couple more super chats, friends. We got one from, oops, sorry, that wasn't the one. Here's one from Fry. It says, caution, unprotected exposure to the sun may cause burning. A billboard at the church I used to attend, Huge Grace, was a nickname he gave someone. Fry, I love you. I don't know what Huge Grace means. Who's getting the nickname and what does it mean? I don't know what you're referring to. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody explain it to me. This is the 4th or 5th time I've seen it today. I don't know what Huge Grace means. It doesn't look like a play on words. I don't know who's getting the nickname. And Tim, thank you for the super chat. It says, Huge Grace, respectfully, Huge Grace. Grace, who was also kicked out, was also... Tim, I don't know who Hugh Grace is. I have no idea what's happening right now. Listen, somebody explain to me what Huge Grace means. It means nothing to me. Maybe I'm the dumbest person on the planet at this point. As far as I can tell, Huge Grace is a meaningless inside term that you guys know that I don't know, that's like happening at somebody's church that I've never been to. I don't know what to do for you. Corbin says the tenets of Satanic Temple are more ethical than the 10 Commandments. Agree? I do agree. I want to see you destroy IP Mike Jones in a pay-per-view MMA match. I don't know if Mike Jones would ever step into the ring with me debating if God is real, especially after the best he could do with Matt Dillahunty wasn't all that good. So I don't think he's going to step in the ring with me, but I'd welcome it. And Zakul says, Satan saw a naked woman in the woods and thought, she must be hungry. Let me show her where there's some fruit. Good guy Satan entered the chat. Zakul, Satan's the nice guy in the Genesis story. There's no way around it. He's the good guy. He didn't even lie. Satan's not even a liar. God is. And Goddamn says, Doug rocks so hard even pebbles call him dad. And indeed, we are all his pebbles, friends. Silver Surfer, great to see you today. Thank you for the $5 super thanks. Big W. And Edward said Jeremiah 20, 1-2. Priest Pashur gave Jeremiah an ass whooping because he couldn't shut up with his nonsense prophecies. Actually, he did, Edward. So Jeremiah was a real whipping boy at the time. He did not get a good reception for the shit he was saying. Let me grab 3 more super chats. We'll move right along. Fierce interaction, my friend. Thank you so much for the super chat. It says that last caller works for me, and I can confirm he is a slave. Pierced his ear with an awl just last week. Might feel cute and whoop him later. Let me know how that goes. I was unaware he was actually an owned property. Thank you for informing me. The Minuteman says, I've made a lifetime goal to paint over the word conception with the word reception at all Immaculate Conception churches. Praise Franco Harris and the Steel Curtain. Listen, Franco Harris is badass. There's no way around it, okay? The Steel Curtain is real, okay? As someone who grew up playing football, I'll give Steelers their due. I love the ground and pound philosophy that they've always had. It's phenomenal. But as a Browns fan, you have to hate them. Hannah coming in again. Thank you so much, Hannah. Says, another thing that drives me crazy is when theist claims his ways are higher than ours. So I don't question. I know that's the problem, is you don't question. Like if you're just reading the book as someone who's never read it and you don't believe this nonsense already, you're going to read it and be like, what the hell is going on? What is happening? All right, we'll get our next guest in here. Welcome in, Dan.
Hey, how's it going? Hey,
Dan,
I'm just full disclosure. I'm an atheist. I just want to say I like your live. It's good. You have some good stuff. I just like the content. One thing I want to say, I think all atheists, together, we should start kind of building the narrative. As far as I guess what I'm saying is we should stop referring to the God of the Bible as God with a capital G, and just start calling him Yahweh. And I think in doing so, it's less affirming to Christians and better as far as showing that it's pure fiction, if that makes sense.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I think people who are debating these topics have the right to address it the way that they think is effective. But like, if that's your way of dealing with it, I mean, I'm all for you. I'll back you up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, just want to give my thoughts, but I like the live and just want to give some support. All right, keep doing what
Cheers.
you're doing.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, that was not opposition, but I think Richie and Aiden and Lucky will be up next in that order. So let me get Richie. Welcome in, Richie.
Hey man, how are you?
Good. Richie, are you at least 18 and are you a believer?
Yeah, I'm over 18 and I am a believer.
And what do you believe in? What God?
The Christian God.
Cool. And do you believe that the Christian God is all good or only partially good?
So I believe that the Christian God is
a yes or no question. Is it partially good or all good?
all good.
Yeah, sorry. It wasn't a yes or no question. It was a one-word answer. I apologize. So you believe that God is all good. Now, do you believe that all of his actions and all of his commands are good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that punishment should be proportional to the crime?
Yeah.
Okay. Want to read a Bible verse with me?
Yeah, you can.
Sure. We're going to go to Numbers chapter 15. There's an interesting story in Numbers 15 about a guy who breaks one of God's laws, and God wasn't a huge fan of this. It says, when the Israelites were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath. Those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moses and Aaron and the whole congregation, and they put him in custody because it was not clear what should be done to him. Then the Lord said to Moses, the man shall be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him outside of the camp. And then they took him out back and did what they needed to do. Was that a good command?
Yeah, for that time period. Why? So I would explain it this way. God, as we speak about him, right? The other person just said you shouldn't call him God. You should call him Yahweh. I'll even call him Yahweh if you want, right? He's operating on a frequency that is above ours. He's operating on a frequency of being absolute power. Absolute power can't be judged by good and bad. The ramifications of absolute power can have a negative or positive effect on humanity. But
So if you're the
it-
most powerful
yeah,
entity, you just get to decide what good and bad is.
yeah, technically, yeah,
So it's
because
good to
if
stone people for breaking the Sabbath.
it's the same as an author that writes a book and the subjects in the book don't get to choose what's right from wrong.
Yeah.
Like
Do you think that being stoned
absolute
for
power has
accidentally committing a
authority
crime
over-
is proportional punishment?
Repeat that?
Do you think that getting stoned for accidentally committing a crime is proportional punishment?
That's what I'm saying. We don't know the backstory. We don't know the history. We don't know the genealogy of that person. We don't know the generational.
Wait, what's this
stuff that
genealogy
they
have to do with
carry.
it?
Well, we don't know if there was a incident 100 years before that should have been dealt with that wasn't dealt
Like
with.
what? What would an incident 100 years ago before he was born have to do with him being punished for a crime he committed?
Well, like the whole story of the garden, the creation story, right? I know that's a point that I've heard you spoken about. So if God gives a mandate and says, this is how you should operate, don't do something, and then you do it, and then your descendants keep doing it, then over time that seed is going to be uprooted.
That doesn't
So
have any meaning.
time,
The words that you just combined into a sentence don't have meaning. So what about
why?
somebody's
Explain, hold
sin?
on. Just explain that to me a little bit.
You just
Why
said
doesn't
you said
it
a bunch
have
of words that have nothing to do with the man in Numbers 15. I'm asking you why somebody who existed 100 years before the man in Numbers 15 has anything to do with the punishment he got.
Just like how when we're saying something that you don't like, you mute the person because you're the God here. It's the same way an absolute power has the power to mute whatever he wants. And that doesn't make it good or evil. That's why God is worshipped.
Okay, so you think that whatever God does is just good by definition because God does it?
No, I think what is good comes from God. So
Can
that's why
God do
I'm saying the
evil?
manifestation of good and evil in our art. So we operate under certain moral
Can
codes
God
that
do
we
evil?
call good. God is neither good nor evil.
I said
But
can't. Well, if he's not good,
no,
then we agree.
no, absolute power has no boundaries, so it
So-
can't be defined as good or evil.
So God's not good.
God is God.
Is he
God
good?
operates outside of morality.
But is he good?
As human beings, we have to accept what he does as good because he has
Why?
the last say on everything. That's what
Okay,
absolute power is. But
so being the most powerful means anything you do or say is good.
being the author and finisher of a project that you created means that you have the last word on everything.
I didn't ask if you had the last word. I said him being the most powerful. Is that what makes good and bad? Is just being the most powerful?
Yes, that's the very definition of absolute power.
Okay,
man.
so that means then if you have the most power, what you say good and bad is must go, which means if God gave you a command, you have to follow the command because it would be bad to disobey, right?
Yeah, that's what absolute power means. That's
Okay.
the very meaning of
So
God.
is there a limit? Is there anything God could tell you to do that would be bad?
All right, so hear me out, right?
It's just
so,
a yes or no, Richie.
No, remember we're having a discussion though, so you should.
I know,
really
and I
pushing
asked you a yes or no
God.
question. Listen, if
No,
you need
only
to,
God can
Richie,
put limits.
Richie,
for God, it's
pay
yes or
attention.
no. For us,
Richie,
it's a discussion.
all you're talking just makes the conversation longer. Okay, so I asked you, is there anything?
No, you're trying
is
to
there?
control.
I'm
the
not trying to control anything. I'm
conversation.
trying to clarify your position.
Okay.
So, is your position that there is it your position that there's nothing God could tell you to do that would be bad?
It's my position that God already has established the path of humanity.
I can't
Yeah.
answer a single
No.
question.
Hold
Try
on.
to
Let me
listen, Richie.
explain.
No, you're not explaining anything
Okay.
because it has nothing to do with
Say
my
it once more.
question.
Say it once more. Say it once more.
Is there anything God could tell you to do that would be bad?
No.
Okay, because everything
let me
God tells you to
explain.
no, I don't
Let
need
me
it,
explain.
Richie. I don't need an explanation. So in your
Okay, so
Richie,
you're
stop
God then. You're God because
talking,
you're no,
Richie.
but
I'm not
you
your
have
wife. You don't have to talk
ultimate
over
power
me.
to determine how someone perceives something.
Okay, we're
Like
just
you
gonna
literally.
just stop talking, Richie. I don't have patience for people today. Okay, so try to follow the flow of conversation. All right, I'm not your child. I'm not your wife. You don't get to talk over me. You don't get to rob the lead of the conversation. That's not what's going to happen. So I asked you an easy question. I'm trying to figure out what you believe. That's the purpose here. I want to know what you believe, Richie. So you already said that you believe that if God tells you to do something, then you should do it because everything God tells you to do is good. Is that your position? Like God couldn't tell you to do something bad. If God tells you to do something, no matter what it is, the right thing to do is to do the thing. Is that your position, Richie?
But can I answer though?
It's a yes
Because
or no question, Richie. Is that your position?
why is it yes or no?
Because
You're not
I
God.
need to know your position, Richie. That's why it's a yes or
My
no. If
position
you,
is what.
Richie,
Okay,
stop
so let me
talking.
explain.
Stop talking. If
Okay,
you
God.
asked me, do I believe the sky is blue? That's a yes or no question. It
Yes.
only requires a yes or no. It doesn't require a
Okay.
story.
So
Stop, Richie, stop. It doesn't require a
yes, yes.
story.
My answer is yes. Okay,
Okay.
my answer is yes.
Thank
Okay.
you. No one needs a story here. It's not story time. Okay. Now, if you believe that everything
Only you
God
tell
tells
the
you
story.
to do should be done because the good thing to do is to always obey God. If God told
Yes.
you to go to the local elementary school and round up all the children and grind up into baby paste and then put them through the vulcanization process so that they become rubberized and make little jelly shoes out of them and wear the little baby paste jelly shoes around, is that a good thing?
Okay, you see how creative you were with your question? I'm going to be creative
It's a
with
yes
my
or no,
answer. Can
Richie.
I?
Nope.
Oh, so for you it's creativity and
It's a
expression, but for me it's yes
It's
or
a
no.
yes or no question, Richie. Would the right thing?
Yes, I would do it. I would do
There,
it in
there
accordance
we
with the
go.
human
That's all we
template of
needed.
Jesus.
That's all we
No, Jesus
needed.
is the human
There we
template for
go.
human behavior as
And we're
according to the Bible.
at baby paste counter number 1 on the board. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. So we've got one proponent for baby paste. Thank you, Richie, for finally being honest. I don't know why.
Jesus wouldn't want us to do
I
that.
don't know why.
Christ
I don't
wouldn't.
know why it took
No, the
25
human
minutes to get
template,
there. But listen,
the
none
human
of
template for
Richie,
Jesus,
none of your yapping
the
works.
human template for God, right? The human template.
None of your yapping is good here. I will never understand why people think yapping is going to help their argument. I'll never understand it. It will never make sense to me that people thinks just continuously talking helps their argument. It doesn't. But we got baby pace count to 1. I'm not a prophet, but I do predict our baby pace count is going to climb higher than 1 today. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I'm pretty certain baby pace is going to be at least, we're going to say a 2 or a 3. Look at Richie crying in the comments. You ran. I didn't, Richie. That was the end of the conversation. I didn't run. All I wanted you to do was admit that you would make the baby paste to show how horrible you are. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I was publicly shaming you. We weren't having a good faith discussion on whether or not making baby paste is good. Are you insane? These people are ridiculous. Crucifix Me says, in the name of the Father, Son, and legal fun. Legal fun. I appreciate that one. And Tim says, why doesn't he just change their hearts? I agree. He does. He changes lots of people's hearts in the Bible, typically for the worse, not for the better. St. Brush says, LMFAO, Christians lobby the government against abortion pills and turn around and justify the genocide of infants for Jesus. That's the point here, St. Brush. That's the whole damn point. They will literally lobby for how evil abortion is, and then they'll come up here and say, but it's okay to turn babies in the baby paste and wear little baby paste jelly shoes. The 90s are powerful, friends. TM says, I like how you're kind and polite to the nice callers, but you let the bozos have it. Actually, TM, that's always been my MO. I match energy here. If you talk over me, I will 100% talk over you. If you bulldoze me, I will bulldoze you. I don't give a damn. If you're nice and polite, shit, I'll have a nice polite conversation with you. But whatever you give me in this conversation is exactly what you'll get back. If you want to have a good conversation, you better come up here and be polite and honestly answer questions. Luke says, the joke is that he called someone the name Grace, huge Grace. The mean nicknames are what got him kicked out of the gym. Luke, I have literally no idea what you're talking about. First it was a church, now it's a gym. Huge Grace is not a nickname for anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I have literally no idea. Luke, you're welcome to keep giving me super chats, but I have no idea what huge grace means. It's a meaningless thing. Ursmont, my friend, says, on behalf of Jesse, we don't claim this guy. Actually, I believe you. And Master Machetier says, this was the sick justification for indigenous residential schools. It actually was, Master Machetier. They thought that they had an obligation by God to execute the Indian and save the soul. So they sent them to these horrible schools that victimized them. All for Jesus Christ. And T-Maz, thank you for the $10 super chat, friend. Says, I want to learn about the context behind these things. Mosaic laws, God's commands, actions, blood magic among Yahweh worshipers and other societies with other Testament by James Pritchard. That's a good place to start. Other than that, you might want to start with a simple Bible commentary like the Oxford Bible Commentary or the Jerome Bible Commentary, both good single volume commentaries that will get you closer to your goal. You can also start simple with a new Oxford Annotated Study Bible. Mech Jack says, is there any evidence for writing by pre-conversion Paul? If not, what are the implications? Well, Mac, I don't think there's any writings from pre-Christian Paul. That being said, I don't even think the post-Christian Paul's writings are all authentic, only some of them. But are there implications? I think there's only one implication. We've got like this statement in the book of Acts, where Acts 22, I believe so, where it's stated that Paul got papers from the Sanhedrin to like track down these Christians. There's no evidence of that. We have no evidence from Paul or the Sanhedrin that that was the thing that was happening. Beboop comes in and says, huge grace equals hypothetical person. Grace is fat. What Beboop, what language are we talking about? In English, grace doesn't mean fat. I listen, guys, I know there's a play on words happening here. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. Somebody needs to just say what the play on words is, or like no one's getting the joke. It's not funny. Ifer says the adversary Satan is actually the protagonist in the Bible. Yeah, you're right. He's not the antagonist. He's a protagonist. He's the good guy. He's the one that's giving them knowledge and information. And Onyx, welcome back. Says Onyx, like the stone, because I'm a child of Doug. Praise him. Well, praise Doug. And I appreciate the support, Onyx, that you warned us that you were changing your name. And then you changed it. Big W. Patrick says in Sweden here, there's 85% secular, 15 superstition. That's our goal, Patrick. We want to get closer to that. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to get 3 more super chats, friends. TG says, if God is against slavery, why'd he give Job twice as many slaves after the suffering? At least he got hotter daughters, so it's all good. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy that God is like, I'm sorry I killed your slaves, Job, but I guess I'll just give you more. I'll double your slaves because I don't like slavery. It's the Bible God's crazy. And Tyler, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, first time catching a live at work. I'm an engineer as well. Big W for being an engineer. If you ever need a break dealing with any bad apologetics, I could use some helps with these prints. Praise Doug and Sharon Stone. Listen, Tyler, I hate doing electrical prints. I will do them like as busy work, but where I come from, we give a lot of prints to like the interns. It's just boring. But listen, if you ever have a question on prints, let me know. I can probably answer your questions. And last one from Aroist. Thank you for the $10 super chat. It says, knowing that they claim there's some divine higher reason, the Bible tells us reasons. Job, he wanted to win a bet, and his goal for humanity is eternal worship to glorify himself to them, which is actually a really good point, because like first of all, we all know Job is horrific, but like if God's real goal here is to bring glory to himself, what kind of a narcissist, egomaniac God thinks that he can do all kinds of horrific things only with the end goal in mind that people worship him? What a terrible human being. What a terrible entity. He's not technically a human being unless you think Jesus is God, but Bible says God is not a man, which is another problem. All right, we're going to get Lucky Drifter into the conversation. Welcome in, Lucky Drifter.
Hello.
Lucky, are you at least 18 and are you a believer?
Yes, sir. I'm 25. Name's Marcos, and I am a believer.
All right, Marcos, what God do you believe in?
The God of the Bible and the Old Testament. Some would even argue that would be like the God of Islam as well, but I'd say the Abrahamic faith, right?
Yeah, actually, I agree with you. I don't think the God of Islam is the same as the God of the Bible. I know they think it is, but it clearly isn't.
Just like, I would say the Church of Latter-day Saints isn't the same Jesus Christ as the one that we got, right? But
well, they have a very different view of Jesus than the other Christians. There's a linguistic argument.
To Islam, I'd say, to some extent, but
right. Okay. Now, do you believe that God is all good or only partially good?
I think he's all good by definition.
Sure. Yeah. So then you would say that anything he tells you to do is good because he told you?
Yeah, but would he tell me to do anything?
Yeah.
Okay, that you're making that, right? You're saying that's the case?
No, the Bible says that's the case.
That he tells people all the time to do just anything?
He tells people to do things. So do you
Under
think...
certain frameworks, right?
Do you think that slaughtering...
it's yes or no, right? Certain frameworks? I'd love to answer your next question.
That's not a question, that's a statement.
It's yes, does he make him do things under certain frameworks? Yes or no, right?
You didn't say that part. You just said certain frameworks, which wasn't a question.
My bad. Sorry, I wasn't trying to. I was just... what I'm trying to get at is he doesn't just make people do things, right? There's a context behind it.
No one's saying there's no context.
Well, isn't context important?
I think it is. I never said it wasn't.
Okay.
Okay. So do you believe that people should be punished for crimes only that they commit, or should they be punished for crimes that, say, perhaps their spouse or their leader commits?
I think that people can take punishments if they are like willing to sacrifice for somebody. Yes.
I didn't say willing.
Yeah, like it's an option. Like if I'm in court and somebody is going to be punished for something, I'm like, hey, I want to take that punishment upon myself. I think that's just.
I didn't say anything about willing. I said if person A commits a crime, is it acceptable to punish the person's cousin or wife or anybody else for that person's crime?
If the other person is willing, then yeah. If not, then no.
I didn't say willing.
So then no, it's not.
Okay, so no, it's not. Okay. Now, are you aware that God does this?
That he has done this, yes, in the Old Testament.
Was it a good thing that he did it?
I think since he's all just, and for me not to be like stepping on my own toes, then yeah, it would have been all good.
Okay, so it is a good thing then to punish people for crimes they never committed.
Let's get to what you're trying to get at. What's the verse? And because clearly you're trying to lead me somewhere.
Well, sure, but I mean, it's a logical conclusion, right? If God punishes people...
I'd like to come to that conclusion myself, right? So bring me to that place. Let's get to there. Let's work it out.
Okay. Do you know the story of David and Bathsheba?
Yeah, sadly.
That's a tough one, yeah. What was the punishment that was handed out for that crime?
The death of his infant that was given to him by God, yeah.
And what else? There's a second punishment.
I'm pretty new Christian myself. Like I actually strayed from the faith and I'm coming back to it now. I don't remember. Could you elaborate for me?
Yeah, he says 10 of David's wives are going to be raped. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, I will raise up trouble against you from within your own house, and I will take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor, and he will lie with your wives in broad daylight, for you did it in secret, but I would do this thing before all Israel in broad daylight." And it does actually happen. Absalom.
Yeah, historically, yeah.
Yep. Okay. So was it a good thing that the wives got raped for David's sin?
No, but were they also taking part of the sin, right? So
No.
they're all suffering. What do you mean, no?
They didn't take part in David's sin.
No, not at all. When
What-
you become married with somebody, you're one of their flesh. So you are. I think you're
Do
taking things out of
do you think
context there.
the wives are responsible for David taking Bathsheba and committing adultery?
Well, back in the day, I'm not saying that that was right, but like if you're married to somebody and there's the king and whatever, like what he was doing wasn't right even by standards just because he was king. That's a vivid. That's why it's very pointed out that David is not a good role model. He's a king, but not a good role model.
What responsibility do the wives have in David's crime?
Well, since they're one flesh, they should be doing something about it, right?
Okay, so you would think then that in the American justice system, if a husband commits a crime, the wives should be sent to jail?
Oh, I didn't say that because our system isn't based on those laws. We're based on Judeo-Christian laws.
No, but
Much different than the Judeo
ideal
law.
system, in God's system, which is the ideal system,
That's the old system. You're calling it the ideal system. I
is
live by the new covenant of
is
Jesus
God's
Christ.
system ideal?
Yes, the new covenant of Jesus Christ. Yeah.
No, is God's justice ideal?
Yeah, I'd assume so.
Is
That's
there
what I
a
live
better
by, yeah.
justice?
Than God? No.
Oh,
He is all just,
then
right?
God's version of justice is the ideal justice. So why wouldn't you want it?
I said I'm hoping I live by it, by the New Testament, by the new covenant of Jesus Christ.
We're not talking about covenants. We're talking about justice. It's a word, not a covenant.
Okay, why do you think the Jewish people even follow God? It's by a covenant. They made an agreement and they want to follow him.
But the
and
covenant
it's
has
good.
nothing to do with the definition of justice. Do you know what the definition of justice is?
It's doing things that are right, you know?
No, justice is when you get what you deserve. Like if you do good things, you get good things. If you do bad things, you get bad things. You get punished proportionally to what you did.
Okay, now let me make this very clear then. I am a believer in Jesus Christ, and he makes it very clear that no sin is different than the other. So justice for sins is like if that guy robs I know it sounds silly, but if somebody steals a chocolate bar versus somebody rapes somebody, they're all deserving of death. It's sin nonetheless.
Yeah, the Yahweh doesn't think so. Yahweh gives different punishments for all the sins, but I think that's kind of a different topic, and I don't want to get sidetracked on it. We're starting to figure out why it's bad.
That's the main punishment for sin, right? Death.
No, I don't think so. So
It makes it very clear.
we'll try again, Lucky. We all know everyone dies. That's not a question. We're talking about what happens while we're alive. Okay.
Punishment for sin.
Yeah, the wages of sin is death. We're talking about
There
your
you
punishment while you're alive. You and I are alive right now.
Yeah, but not everybody gets punished for sin while they're alive.
Right,
Like, what
but
the heck,
we're
man?
talking about people who do get punished while they're alive. Okay.
And what you're trying to justify somebody else's punishment? That doesn't. I don't.
So just follow the conversation, okay? So God does punish people while they're still alive.
I agree.
Not everyone, but he does. Okay. Now, as it turns out that the punishment given to David, if you're saying the punishment given to David is definitionally just, that means it's definitionally just in all worlds to punish wives for their husbands' crimes.
Is that what Jesus comes proclaiming after?
We're talking about definitions. We're not talking about Jesus. We're talking about definitions right now.
But you're defining it as a sense of like one punishment is equal to other people. We're not all equal. I think God makes that very clear.
I never said we were. I'm talking about the definition of words right now. The definition of the word just doesn't change. Like justice is justice. Okay. Now, if it's not just to punish people for somebody else's crime, then it's not just in any time period to do that.
I get what you're trying to get at.
Okay. So if it's not just to do that, it doesn't matter if it happened a long time ago or if it happened today. It still breaks the definition of justice. It's now injustice.
Yeah, currently, yes.
Okay. So what that means is that what God did was unjust.
In these times, yeah, because we have opinions, yeah.
No, not in these times.
That is defined by us.
No, the definition of justice doesn't change.
Yeah, it should. It's beyond that. Yeah, it's based on time.
So if the definition of justice doesn't change, then that means what God did was unjust.
No, but we change, and we're deciding.
I didn't say. I didn't say we change. I'm talking about definitions.
Yeah, so we change, and we're trying to say that this definition of justice isn't just anymore. That's what I'm trying to get at.
No, that's not what I'm getting at all. You already agreed that justice has a definitive meaning, and that it can't change. The definition of
justice, our opinions on justice can. It's very clear.
No. How we think it should be applied is different than what does it mean.
Well, that's what you're trying to get at. You're saying,
No, I'm
listen,
not.
the way it was applied back then and over there should be applied to all
I'm
times.
not talking about
That's
the
how it works.
application. I'm talking about the meaning of the word. So if the meaning of justice doesn't change, right? That means that something that was just today was just 100 years ago. Something that was just 1,000 years ago is just today.
I think it can be. I don't think it always is.
Then the definition changes.
Yes, just like the times.
So you
Because
just said that.
just is
Well,
an opinion by us.
definitions don't change, though.
By our standards, they do. What do you mean all the time?
No. The definition of justice, the idea of what justice is, never changes. It doesn't matter if you change.
I am a flawed person that has a silly brain. So yes, by my meaning, I can make it change all the time. I get what you're trying to say of definitively, but there is no definitively. Name a definitive thing then.
Give me one alternative definition of the word justice, then.
Alternative? What do you mean?
Give me one definition of justice when it's ever meant something other than getting what you're owed.
Grace. That's what the New Testament
That's a
teaches,
different
that
word.
But what I'm trying to get at is that we were all supposed to be served justice and death, and Jesus comes with grace.
He can't help but
saying,
preach. They
that's
get stuck in the
reality,
preaching
right?
loop.
Well, that's what I believe.
So
We can go back to the topic.
Lucky,
but I'm just saying.
just so you're aware, we all know the gospel. You don't have to tell anyone. We've all heard it. We all read John 3:16. We all know it. None of that's necessary, right? So what we're talking about is why you think God's justice changes, because as far as I can tell, it's never just, and it has never been just.
What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't change, but our opinion does, because we have an idea of what is good and bad.
I'm not asking about your opinion. I'm asking about the objective definition of the idea of justice. Justice isn't a concept. It is, because
look, you're saying what happened to David's wives was horrible. I agree, but back in the day, people didn't think so.
It doesn't matter what they think. We're talking about what is actually just, not what people think is just.
If you were back in the day and you were killed for that, it doesn't matter what you think either. You're dead.
But we're not asking what people think about it. We're asking about what meets the definition of the word. And the definition of the word just is that innocent people don't get punished for their partner's crimes. That's the definition.
They innocent if they're one flesh with the other person?
Yes.
Are they innocent if they're taking on their crimes? Like me and my girlfriend are not one, obviously, but if we get married, we are one of flesh. And I don't live in a country that enforces any of that, but by Sharia law in some of these Islamic countries, that is the case.
Okay, so if your wife steals from the local Walmart, should you go to prison instead of her?
If I willingly ask,
I didn't say anything about willingly.
I don't think that's right.
You keep adding it. If in fact, we're not talking about the gospel. If in fact your wife got caught doing a crime, would it be fair to let her go free and you go to prison? I'm not asking if you're willing to do it.
No, it's not fair.
Okay, that doesn't meet the definition of justice, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the definition of just doesn't change. So what that means is that the wives of David who didn't commit David's crime should not have been punished for David's crimes.
You're saying it's unjust, yes, but I think if you grab one verse in context like that instead of looking the past verse and the next verse, you can easily misconstrue that and be like, look, it's just unjust.
Well, show me how it's just.
So now you're asking me to justify why it's just.
Justify it. Show me how.
Now, what I'm trying to get at is that people will take verses like this and in other countries and other religions and use it to justify. What I'm trying to get at is that if you're a Christian and you're trying to justify God's all good, I'm justifying by the means of the gospel, the New Testament, not the Old. I live by.
I'm asking to justify this story.
My justification for it is that they lived during a certain set of times. Same thing as like the Islamic regimes over there. I don't think it's right what they're doing, but they do.
Does God's justice change?
No, that's why I live by the New Testament.
Is God required to do things according to the customs of the time?
No.
Oh,
he
so this is not a good argument then.
But that's why he comes at the perfect time when things were getting pretty radical, and then he does.
Listen, the preaching loop's never going to help. Just pay attention to the story.
Okay.
Jesus has nothing to do with what happened to David. We're talking about David right now.
Why doesn't? He's a direct descendant. That's the whole point of Jesus.
Because Jesus has nothing to do with why David was punished.
Why not?
Because Jesus doesn't show up in the story. Jesus has nothing to do with David's wives being raped.
Wait a second. Isn't this just like a reflection of what happens? What happened for David to even receive this punishment?
God chose it.
God chose it. What did David do?
David sinned, and then God said,
How did he sin?
then he committed adultery,
He
possibly.
didn't just commit adultery. He killed the lady's wife. She sent him down to battle, front lines.
I know.
The guy came back, slept in his throne room.
Yeah, did David's wives do it?
Refused to eat.
Did David's wives do that?
David's wives knew. What
Did
do you mean?
did they do it?
They knew.
Did they do it?
They're just as guilty. Yeah.
They're just as guilty. So
They knew. They were just as guilty.
Oh, show me where it says they knew that.
How would you not know?
Show
they
me.
knew?
Show me.
Now you want me to justify that?
Show me it. Show me in the scripture. Show me in the scripture.
Chill with him at all times.
Show me in the scripture where it says his wives
Show me
knew
in the
about
scripture
it.
Where it doesn't.
What? You're the one that said they knew.
I'm assuming, yeah. They're the 10 wives at the time. Everybody's family oriented. Why wouldn't they?
Why would he tell his wives? Why would he go in and tell his wives, "Hey, I'm going to go commit adultery on you guys"?
Because it's common at the times, and he's the king. He could have done it. He didn't have
So
to.
you
He could've done whatever the fuck he wanted.
you think
That's my argument.
so you
right
think
there,
that David walked into his harem and said, "Hey guys, I'm going to go collect this woman
had a
over
harem, so he
here,
made it happen.
and I'm going to commit adultery with her. Don't tell anyone."
Could have.
You think that's what happened?
He wasn't a good guy. I tell
It
you
was,
that.
it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay, look at Judea.
The,
Look at the kingdom.
the pretzels you have to turn yourselves into to justify this is wild.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like David's a prophet or one of my messiahs. He's an example of what bad people are. He's an example of I'm bad too, and I would be put in the same boat if I was given absolute power.
So let's finish fleshing this out. So the wives in your, I'll even grant you that what you're saying is.
I hope being at least not stepping on my own toes, and I hope we're getting somewhere. I know this might sound a little bit silly, but I do think we're getting somewhere at least.
Oh, we are getting somewhere, that's for sure. Okay, so let's even admit, let's say, for example, well, shit, maybe David was such a piece of shit that he did tell his wives, "I'm going to go commit adultery and have this man killed." Let's imagine that happened, right?
Okay.
Now, did the wives do anything about it?
Well, as of what I know, no. I'd have to look at
how
it
do you
from a
know?
theological and historical. But I don't read the Torah.
Well, how
I
do you know
that they didn't or that they did?
Yeah, how do you know that they didn't try to warn somebody?
That's what I'm saying. I don't. I'd have to figure that out.
But you added.
I've never gone into the story.
Okay, so Lucky. So you added the part to the Bible that said they knew. Now
I didn't add.
So
I'm
now,
saying that
so now adding.
he had a
So now
harem
I'm
and-
adding to the Bible that they did tell
Okay, go for
somebody.
it. Okay, who did they tell?
But I don't have to tell you. It's not in the Bible.
Okay, let's continue with the story.
See
Let's
how
say they
see how
told the high
making things
priest-
up works. You can just make anything up if it's not in the book.
No, I just said I'm okay with it. Let's go with your story. Let's say she told one of the high priests. Let's say the high priest said,
Cool.
"That's,
So the
the king of Israel. I
so
don't
the
want to know anything
wives-
about it." Now what?
Yeah. So the wives
Now
found
everybody's
out,
guilty.
and the
I even
wives.
think the high priest should be put to death.
So the wives found out, and the wives said, "Hey, King David's about to do some shit, right?" Now, as
Who's
it
the high
turned,
priest? Yep.
well, as it turned out, the high priest wasn't executed. It was the women that were raped. So we still end up with the same problem, no matter how much we add to the Bible, which is that David's wives,
Who put out the sins? Was it
Dave-
just people doing
David's
stuff, or did God
wives,
actually rape
David's
the women?
wives didn't commit the sin. David did.
Yeah, and the people also committed the sin. You're making it seem like there's a God up
No,
there
no.
going, make these
Who-
people do bad things.
Who
make these people
committed?
rape people.
Who committed adultery?
People.
No. In the story we just read, who committed the
David.
adultery?
And
Oh,
who raped
okay.
David's wives?
And did David take the punishment, or did the wives take the punishment?
Well, David lost his kid, lost his empire, and his wives. I'd say it's a punishment,
So
man. I don't know.
It's a punishment for
what extent,
who?
but it's
So
punishment.
so the baby got executed via sickness, and the wives got raped. Sounds like everybody got punished but David.
Sure, if you want to think about it that way. I
Yeah.
think you're misconstruing the story, but sure.
I'm not at all. What punishment?
I think if
punishment
I'm
did David
eternally
get?
alone, I lose my kingdom, I lose my mom, my family, my house, my dog. I think it's a punishment.
What
for me.
punishment did David get?
To be alone, to be left alone. What do you
That's
mean? That
that's a
sucks.
punishment.
For me, it is. Yeah. What do you mean?
Being
We put
alone's
people
a
in prison,
punishment?
Solitary. What do you mean? We put people alone all the time. That is a punishment. People kill themselves all the time.
He's
for
not
being
alone.
What are you
He's a
talking about?
king. He has a whole
Oh, he's
court.
Oh, he has a whole. Oh, so now it's justified because he has people that serves him.
No. I'm saying he's not alone.
No. Don't backtrack. Don't backtrack, bro.
I'm
He
not.
is alone.
I'm not backtracking.
If we look at the
He's
story,
not
okay,
alone.
this is actually in the story. He stays alone, praying by himself. The high priest always try to comfort him. He's like, "No, I'm not about this." He's not eating.
That's not
he's
in the
fasting.
story.
That's not in the story that he's
So
fasting.
in the
begging
story,
for God's grace.
in the
Do you want me to-
story,
do you want me to, like, bring it up?
in the
Because that is the thing.
story, his court is with him, and they
At all
ask
times?
him about his fasting. So he was in fact not alone.
So they were just chilling with him at all times. No,
I
that's
didn't
not
say
true
I
at
didn't say
all.
they were chilling with him at all times. What I'm saying is King David was not alone, and
When you were
and
fasting and he
being
refused to be anointed,
being
you must be
alone
alone.
and being alone is not a punishment. So you think David being alone for a week is punishment?
That's that what you make it seem to be? He was just
That's what
alone
you
for a week?
said. You said being alone is a punishment.
I'm saying, yeah, it can be a punishment. Yeah,
So
I'm not
you
saying
think
being alone for a
David
week is a punishment
so David being alone fasting for a week is a punishment?
because that's all he did. And that he was repenting and
Is it
asking for mercy,
I'm
which he didn't
asking
get. What did God
is it a
grant him? He
punishment?
granted
Is
him
that
that
the
instead.
is that the punishment he received?
The punishment in my eyes that he received was abandonment. He felt abandoned, right? Like he abandoned God, and now God was abandoning him in a sense.
So God couldn't make David feel abandonment without having his child killed and his wives raped?
I'm not saying he couldn't. He did it in that manner.
No.
Why
So
are you arguing that
so then
he
it's
should have done it a
so
different
then
manner?
it's
'Cause you have
it's
justice.
completely unnecessary then.
You're saying it's unnecessary. What's a more just manner of doing it?
It's
Could you explain it to me?
definitionally unnecessary. If he could do
No, I
it
get that, but could you give me a
if
more
he
just
could do
manner
it
then?
if he can do it another way. Well, here's what I would
Could
have
you give me a
done.
more just
You know
manner?
what I would have done? I
Okay.
would have put him in prison the rest of his life.
So if you were God, you would put him in prison for the rest of his life?
Yeah, I put a new king on the throne. I would get rid of the bad king the same way he did with King
Did
Saul.
God want a king on the did God want a king on the throne to begin with?
No.
Well then, so
According to Samuel, no.
all of this right here is consequence of what? People being people and sinning against people?
No, this is God's
No, that's what it
consequences.
is.
So God decided what the
That's what it
consequences would
is.
be.
God literally said, "Listen, if you guys have a king, you guys are gonna fight against each other."
But I need you
You
to
guys are
actually
gonna
pay
fight
attention to
against
what we're
nations.
talking about. We're talking about the consequences that were given to David, his child, and the wives. Those consequences were chosen by God. He didn't have to choose those consequences. He's all powerful. He could have chose any consequences he want, which means the consequences that he did choose are definitionally unnecessary.
You say they're unnecessary. I think they tell us stories
No,
that we can look back to.
they're no, by definition, if something is not necessary, then it is unnecessary.
Let's say we played out your form of justice, and that put out in the story in the Bible.
No, before you
what do I learn from that? What do I learn from that?
Before
Tell
you
me.
move on, I need you to recognize how words work. Do you agree that if something's not necessary, meaning it could be another way, that then it becomes unnecessary?
I think that it can be unjust.
I didn't say anything about justice. I'm
Can be unnecessary. Can be unnecessary.
I'm talking
But I think,
about
like,
the
when you do something
definition.
like build
Okay.
a computer, you do things a certain way,
Lucky,
so then it can
listen,
be necessary.
Lucky,
right?
more talking won't help your position. The only thing that will help your position is listening to the words coming out of my mouth and responding to them. So we're talking about the definition of necessary and unnecessary. It's true, yes or no, that something is either necessary or it's unnecessary.
By the standards you're playing it, yes, sure.
No, that's the definition of the word. Necessary means it couldn't be any other way. That's the definition of the word.
I get that that's the definition of the word, but like you're making things seem so black and white, man.
I'm just using definitions here. Okay, so if something is necessary or unnecessary, it can't be something in the middle. It's either necessary or it's unnecessary. So that means if the punishment that David gave, or the punishment that God gave, if there's, let's say, 1,000 different punishments he could have gave because he's all powerful, that means any punishment he gives is, definitionally speaking, it's unnecessary. It's a decision. Do you see? Oh, okay. Now, so what that means is that God didn't have to do it this way. He chose to do it this way, which means not only is he doing something that I think is unjust, he's also doing something that's not good, because he could have punished David in a way that caused less amount of harm, couldn't he?
Yeah, you're saying that if he just stripped him of his keep and then locked him away, it would have been just as just.
What I'm saying is that the person who commits the crime should be punished.
No, and I agree with you there, but your argument is also, because that's what you said. If you stripped him of his keep, put him in prison, it would be just as just. I asked you how.
I said it would be more just.
That's what you did. More just, even. Okay.
Because
why would that be more just?
Because the person who committed the crime actually received the punishment, and the innocent parties didn't get punished in my scenario.
So he gets put to jail,
and
then that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Why do you need more?
What does that teach?
Doesn't teach anything. It teaches that justice means you get what's coming to you. If you commit a
Now,
crime,
I
then
think
you
what's
get punished
taught
for
in
it.
this story, which is pretty clear, at least that's why people grab these verses to teach, right? I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. It's to show by example, is that sometimes when you do something in this life, it can be brought back to you in ways that you don't want it to, right? Like people believe in karma. I'd say like that's a good eventful way of thinking of it. No.
That's not true if God is in control of the consequences.
No, I agree. God is in control of the consequences, but we are also in control of our like lives, right? We have free will. We make these decisions. Our impacts affect the future, right? Like that's the whole point of us existing.
I don't think so. So what I'm saying,
You don't think so? You think everything's just
no,
preordained and God just watches it all and it's all set in stone and that's it?
no, literally the opposite. I don't think there's a purpose for us being here.
No,
So
I get that. You don't believe in God at all, but I do, so entertain the fact.
but I'm just telling you what I believe. I don't believe there's a
Okay, we can get
purpose.
to
I
that
know
then. I'd like to hear
I know
exactly.
you believe there's a purpose. I don't. So we're talking.
Okay, so why do you believe there's no
So
purpose then?
we're talking about justice right here, and I'm still waiting for either a concession or a solid answer as to how this is just or unjust.
I think that this is a story to show how justice could be shown. Like I think that's what this is about.
Where
Really.
was
And I
justice
think
shown?
I think to David and to show to the kingdom, right? To show that like things aren't always delivered in the way that you want. Like it's not just punishment like on you. It could be punishment on people.
Would you be
around you.
okay if your wife committed adultery? Would you be okay if the judge said you're going to get raped because your wife committed adultery?
No, but if I was willing to, then yeah, man.
I didn't say you were willing. So why wouldn't you be okay with it?
Well, like I just said, if I wasn't willing, then no. But
Why?
because it's the willingness, sacrifice. That's what the gospel teaches.
I'm
Like
not,
there's
I'm
no
not
other love
asking
but
if you're
sacrifice.
willing. Stop adding that to it. So if your wife commits adultery, let's imagine it's a criminal offense, and the judge says, okay, now, lucky drifter, you have to get raped because of your wife's crime. Is that just?
They believe that's what justice is. I'm going to say no. That's not what the gospel teaches.
I'm asking what you believe. Do you believe
just
it's
said no.
just?
No, it's not.
Okay. And what's unjust about it?
That I'm getting punished for somebody else's crime unwillingly.
Is it ever just to punish people for someone else's crime?
Willingly, yeah. Sacrifice.
Unwillingly. Stop
Unwillingly,
adding
then no.
things. Okay, so unwillingly,
It'll
no.
never be. Why would it be?
Okay,
like,
then
by definition, it's called
then,
unwilling.
Then just concede. If it was never good, if it was never just to punish somebody for crimes they didn't commit, but somebody else committed, then it wasn't just when it happened to David's wives and his child.
Did God rape those wives?
He caused it.
He caused it?
Yep.
He caused some random man to get the thoughts and then go rape somebody.
Yep.
Or was there or were things preordained to happen in that way?
Nope.
Because David's impact affected other things, right? Because like if you do something like you cut down a tree, the tree's gonna fall down. Kind of how that happens, right?
Nope. God says I'm causing it.
Nope.
He says I will
so
raise
if
up.
I cut down a tree and God doesn't want to,
Do you want me to read it? Do you want me to read you the verse or not?
You can read the verse.
Verse 11, I will raise up trouble against you from within your own house, and I will take your wives before your eyes. God says, I'm doing it. It's a punishment. That's how punishments work.
Already being raised already.
It doesn't matter. It's a punishment.
Yeah, nonetheless, and he's the one that accepted the yeah, he did the thing. You get the punishment. Not everybody does in this life. He did. What
Right. So God said, this is the punishment for the thing that you're doing, which means God's doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, that means God caused the 10 wives to be raped.
I think he played a part in warning him, but I don't think he raped the
wives. He didn't warn him. He says, I'm doing it. It's like you didn't, like you don't, like, why do you hate God's word?
I get that you grabbed the verse. What was this originally written in? It's the Torah, right? Probably Hebrew. Is this how exactly it translates?
It's roughly the same, yeah. As it turns out, I actually can read Hebrew.
Because, things are backwards. I'm Portuguese and Brazilian. And when I speak Brazilian and Portuguese, the language is completely backwards. Like when I say open the door, it's door open. So context, things are important.
Yeah, we know how first-person verbs work.
I'm glad.
Right. So God says, I'm doing it. I'm causing it. And you don't even need him to say that.
In English, he says, I'm doing it. What does it say? That's what I'm trying to get at. Context is important, right?
Well, I'm telling you, God said, I'm doing this thing. That's why it's a punishment. If God's not doing it, then it's not a punishment.
Can a punishment be had if it's not made by God?
No.
You don't think so, right?
Not if God's involved. No. If God says, I'm punishing you, and then he doesn't actually do anything, then he's not punishing you.
And that's what you see this as. Like, he didn't actually do anything. He just affected the people around him.
No, he caused it to happen. He said he's causing it to happen.
Yeah, but you don't see it as a punishment on David. You see it as like, oh, he's affecting everybody's lives.
Yeah, it's a punishment for the wives and the baby because they're the ones that were harmed by the punishment, not David.
Yeah, David is just innocent, free. He gets to be king forever longer, and he lives a peaceful life, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. He should have been locked up.
But he doesn't. That's not historically true. What the hell are you talking about?
I know
bro?
I know that's what happened. That's not what happens. That's why it's an unjust story. Because the guy,
what I'm trying to say is the
guy who did the crime should have been punished.
He does lose his wives.
No,
not all of them get.
He dies as king.
He dies as king of Israel.
He's still the king when he dies. No,
like
not in battle.
Jerusalem.
He dies in a bed, surrounded by his loved ones and a hot little girl named Abishag.
Sounds about right.
You haven't heard the story. In fact, I'll just read you the story. It's going to be in 1 Kings, chapter 1 or chapter 2. I always forget. Chapter 1. This is my favorite story of David. King David was old and advanced in years, and although they covered him with clothes, he could not get warm. So his servant said to him, "Let a young virgin be sought for my lord the king, and let her wait on the king and be his attendant. Let her lie in your bosom so that my lord the king may be warm." So they searched for a beautiful young woman throughout all the territory of Israel and found Abishag, the Shunammite, and brought her to the king. The young woman was very beautiful. She became the king's attendant and served him. But the king did not know her sexually, I'm sure. So that's how he died. He didn't die in battle.
Wasn't Israel under attack at that time? Like, I'm pretty sure, like he was getting closed in on all sides when he was in bed dying, right? No?
Not while he was,
or am I misplacing story?
No, not while he's dying. He was under attack when the sin happened. He was under attack by the armies that were being led by his son Absalom.
His son did not like him. Actually, isn't that kind of how like his whole thing ended by his son?
Yeah, his son marched into the palace, took the wives on top of the palace, pitched a tent, and in a display of force over his father, slept with 10 of his wives on top of the palace in front of all Israel as a declaration that I'm in charge now.
Man, if you don't think David got punished at all for all of this, then yeah, you're nuts. But it's okay.
Do you think the punishment was?
You better yourself. I think there's a punishment.
You think the punishment was fair to have the wives raped rather than?
If that was my dad, like that was David, God forbid, my dad would have had a heart attack. My dad.
If there's going to be somebody getting raped, it should have been David. They should have took David on top of the palace and raped his ass.
I agree because I'm a human person that thinks I know what is just, but.
So why does your system of justice differ from God's?
Because I'm a human that believes in right and wrong, and the apple, right? That's in the beginning of the story. That in the beginning there was just right and there was just wrong, and then when we eat the apple, we're up for a debate. Here's what I think is right. Here's what I think is right. No, I think is right.
Well, that's not what it says.
But that's a very common case. People. That's why ISIS uses their terms and whatnot. That's all you religions always pull out a verse and then use it to justify a means to an ends.
That's not what Genesis says at all. It says that they didn't know right from wrong, and that after they ate the apple, then they knew good and evil.
Because there was only good before. There was no evil.
Yeah, but after they ate the apple, they had the knowledge of good and evil.
So things just were before. There was no
I agree.
Opinion came after.
That's what I'm saying.
So things just were. Yeah, opinion comes after.
Things just were. That's what I'm saying. They had no idea what good and bad was. Afterwards, it says
but there was only good. Bad came into the world after.
But it says they knew.
Sin entered the world.
They knew is what it says.
Yeah. So but sin entered the world. So they knew only good. There was only good.
No, listen. No one's disagreeing on that. We're saying that after they ate the apple, it doesn't say they had opinions. It says after they ate the apple that they knew good and evil. They had knowledge of good and evil.
So they had an opinion.
They knew good and evil.
That's an opinion, right?
No, it says they know. They have knowledge of something. A knowledge claim is different than having an opinion.
Well, I could have a knowledge claim and have an opinion. That's what ends up happening in their case, right?
No. A knowledge claim.
No, because that's exactly what happens. They think that they're in sin. They can't be approached by God.
We'll try this again.
And actually, that's a recurring thing.
Knowledge is different than opinions.
But it's a reoccurring thing in the Bible. It says that we can't go to God in sin, but God constantly comes to us in sin. So it is not just knowledge, it's an opinion.
It's not. We're talking about definitions of words. Knowledge is not an opinion.
They said that they got knowledge of good and evil, and
Mhm.
they had knowledge that they weren't supposed to be in the presence of God, even though God came to them. That's an opinion.
That's not what it says.
You're right. It doesn't say that in those direct words, but if we were to go to the read it, and then you look at it from an outside perspective, yeah, you can see it like that. I don't
You
know.
think
I
sin
clearly
can't
you
be
don't
in
like.
God's presence?
I think that that's what we believe. Yeah,
Why?
because we believe that sin brings us farther from God. Right.
What-
That's the idea.
Can God let
That's what.
sin in his presence?
Yeah, he does all the time. He goes straight to Adam as
Oh.
soon as they eat the apple. Adam, where are you?
So God can have sin in his presence. So what's the problem?
That sin distances us from him. That's
Why?
the idea, right?
Who created
Because
that
we
rule?
believe it to. That's the opinion that was made when we ate the apple.
No,
That's
who
the
created
thing,
the
you don't.
rule?
What do you mean that sin distances us from him?
Yeah.
Because it does. Things were just good before, and now we have an
I
opinion.
know. Who created that consequence that when you sin, you'll be distanced?
We did. We ate the apple.
No. I didn't say who did the thing. I said who created the rule.
We did the thing that with the rules already in place. What do you
I know,
mean?
but who made the rules?
The rule was already in place. What do you
Yeah,
mean? It
yeah,
was just good
I
before.
know. And who made the rule?
The God. Like, 'cause
There
everything was
we
created by God. He
go.
was
Okay,
before
so
space and time. Yeah.
so God decided that sin would have that particular consequence. He didn't have to make that decision. Okay, so I'm just trying to get. I'm gonna ask you one more line of question here. Don't worry, you don't have to read the Bible, but I want to see your take on divine command theory because I'm guessing you believe in divine command theory. So
to some extent, I heard what the other guy said. I think it's the baby paste thing's kind of wild, bro. No, if God told me to go make baby paste, no, I wouldn't do it.
I
But
didn't.
if God
I'm
wanted
not.
me to
Nope.
die for Jesus, then yeah.
I'm not asking you if you would do it. Okay. I'm asking you, would it be the right thing to do is to always obey God? So I'll give you a scenario. Like if God said, listen, I want you to go and just take all the toes of the babies, just chop all the toes off. You can let the babies up. Just take all the toes of the baby. And then what I need you to do is grind them up into ground meat and then cook hamburgers for your family with baby toes. Would it be right or wrong to obey God?
Can we add more context to this, or is this just the foundation of this?
That's it.
I think by your foundation, then yes, it would be wrong to obey God. But I do
No,
think
wrong
that
to
you should-
obey or disobey.
like it'd be wrong to obey him. It goes against his commandments. Like
No,
why
but if
why
God
not?
tells you to
Yeah.
do it, then that means it's the right thing to do.
But how would I know it's God telling me to do it? God isn't contradictory, right? He's all just.
It's baked into the
He
analogy.
doesn't go against himself.
He does, but it's baked into the analogy. The analogy
I
assumes
get you think he does. I'm okay with
no.
that.
The analogy assumes that he said it and you know he said it.
The context, right? That's a big thing. So he would give me a reason why he said it, or no?
He just told you to do it.
I wouldn't do it, and I think it's wrong to do that. I'd hope that it's just schizophrenic voices in my head.
So was it wrong for Abraham to bind up his son Isaac and put him on the altar and try to put a knife in him?
Is that exactly how the story went? Because Isaac willingly went. Isaac said, "Yeah, put me."
Isaac had no idea what was happening
until the last moment, and then Isaac said, "Yes, give God back to God what is God's." Come on, bro.
He didn't say that.
Do you want me to bring up the verses?
Yeah,
he doesn't just bound him and tie him.
In Genesis 22, he's literally told that God is going to provide the sacrifice as he's going to the altar.
Was Isaac forced? Dude, I remember reading about this. He wasn't forced to. He wasn't just bound, and Isaac was screaming.
He was not told what was going to happen.
You're right. He wasn't told until they were at the bottom of the hill, and
Nope.
who confronted him about it? His slave.
He wasn't told what's going to happen.
He was confronted by his slave.
Nope.
He didn't even just go. You're making it seem like he just went with Isaac too. He just pulled away from Isaac. Where were they going? What mountain did they go to?
Abraham never. It's Mount Moriah, but it doesn't really matter.
Who did he stop to? No, it does, because it does.
It doesn't matter because we're talking about. It's talking about whether or not he was told what was going to happen to him. He wasn't told he was going to die. Isaac was never told he was going to die. He assumed he was going to die. He should have assumed he was going to die. But Abraham told him the opposite. Abraham literally said that God will provide the sacrifice. It's not a long story. We can just read it.
You go for it.
Okay. Start at verse 1. After these things, God tested Abraham, and he said to him, Abraham, and he said, here I am. He said, take your son, your only son, Isaac. That's ironic since Ishmael exists, who you love, and you go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I will show you. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him and his son Isaac. He cut wood for the burnt offering and set out and went to the place in the distance God had shown him. And then it says, on the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place far away. Then Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there, and we will worship, and then we will come back. So he literally tells the people that he and the boy are coming back. And then it says in verse 6, Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife, and the 2 of them walked together. Isaac said to his father, Abraham, Father, and he said, here I am, my son. And he said, the fire and the wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham said, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And the 2 of them walked together. So Isaac didn't willingly go to his death. He had no idea what was happening.
He was complacent.
Well, he didn't know what was happening. He didn't
make it seem like he doesn't. He was just a boy lost.
He didn't. Yeah, he's a kid. He doesn't know he's about to get a knife stabbed in him.
How old is he?
He's a young lad, according to the story. We don't know his exact age. So the point that I'm making here,
guess he's old enough to walk around with him, right? So 10, 8, maybe even 7 at the lowest.
It says he's a young lad. That's a pretty wide range.
Yeah, but if you're walking from a mountainside with people, right? You're not just walking with a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old.
He's obviously
lad,
not
right?
2. He'd be a child then.
No, I get that. So we're gonna come to the consensus 6 to 10, right? He's just a kid.
He's probably about 12, maybe 13.
And I'm pretty sure he has an idea of how the religion works, right?
Yeah, that's why he asked where the lamb for the sacrifice is. And then
so he was pretty complacent.
He didn't know he was being sacrificed. That's why he's complacent.
So God will provide, goes up to a mountainside, and he just ties him up and he goes, yeah, Dad, don't do this, don't do this.
There you go.
That's not what I remember reading.
At that point, that's why that part of the story is not actually described, because I'm sure that was the horrific part. So pay attention to what's actually happening in the story. So he goes to the altar, he's bound, he's put on the altar. Now, at this point, once he's bound and placed on the altar, yeah, obviously he knows. We have no idea what his state of mind is. I assume he was terrified. Now, the original question, why we're even talking about this story right now, is whether or not God asked Abraham to do a good thing or a bad thing.
God was asking him to give back what was rightfully his.
Yes, but is sacrificing your children good or bad?
By my justice means obviously no, but by God's justice,
but
yeah.
Even in God's book, does he say that you should execute your sons and daughters as human sacrifices?
No, because that's against kind of what he does, right? That's
okay, so executing
the whole idea of the one God is fight against Baal and whatnot. That's why Enoch and
so child sacrifice is bad, yet God said to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so sometimes God will ask you to do things that he doesn't want you to do.
One time in that case, yeah.
Okay, so in the example of Genesis 22, that means Abraham did the right thing by obeying the bad command of God.
Yeah, just like Job did the wrong thing when he didn't. So, not Job. Who am I thinking of?
Jonah.
Guy in the Jonah. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so then back to the baby paste. That means whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, the right thing to do is to make the baby paste, isn't it?
Wouldn't God give me an outage because God wouldn't let me make?
I don't know if he will or he won't. All I'm saying is the right thing.
He didn't let Abraham kill his kid, so clearly he could give me an out, right?
Listen, I don't know if he will or he won't. I think that's irrelevant to the question. The question is.
I think it is.
The question is whether or not you should be obedient.
I wouldn't.
No.
And Abraham was, because he was a good slave to God. And
I didn't ask if you would. I'm asking about what is the right thing to do in your worldview. Is the right thing to do to obey God?
I would like to say yes. I would like to be yeah, I would obey him. But no, I don't think that's right because I'm a human that has opinions.
I didn't ask you if you would do it. All I'm saying is
But that's why I don't
whether or
think it's
not
right. That's what I'm
whether or
saying.
not it's right or wrong to obey God's command, even if you don't like the command.
I think to be morally just here, I think it's wrong to be obeying his command.
Okay, so disobeying God is right sometimes.
Sure.
So then you would just fail God's test then.
Man, I do all the time.
No. I'm saying
Yes,
it's
I would.
it's
I
good.
would fail his test.
Okay, so
Bingo.
then it's good. I got to remove the baby pace counter now. So then it is good sometimes
Thank
to
you.
disobey
Thank you.
God.
Well, we see that all the time. Job disobeys him. Jonah disobeys him. He ends up
But
alive. Yeah, it's
but he
good to
got
disobey God.
punished. I mean,
Yeah, but
he
he's
got
fine. He lived.
reprimanded. Okay.
Yeah, he got put inside of a whale.
Okay,
I'd
so
take
so
that.
then sin is good.
I mean, sin could be objectively good by a person. Yeah, just like I think it's good to go steal a chocolate bar if I'm hungry or whatever,
No.
give the rich to the poor.
No, it's good to disobey God. Sin is disobeying God, right?
Yeah, it's because we live in this world. Yeah, that's my opinion. I smoke weed all the time. I'm a bad Christian.
But no, I'm asking if it's good.
Oh, so good. I love it.
No. In the Christian
I'm being
worldview,
honest, man. I'm being honest.
no, in the Christian worldview, is sinning good?
No, because sinning is a bad thing. It distances you from God. It self-distance. You like put a distance on it yourself because you don't. He doesn't actually step away from you. It's like you stepping from him.
Is it always a sin to disobey God?
Is it always a sin to disobey God?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a good context. What does the Bible say on that? I believe that it would be right. Like you should be obeying God, but I don't obey Him all the time, so I'm sinning. And
Right. But I mean, as far as I can tell, disobeying God is always a sin. I mean, I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't be.
why wouldn't it? Okay, but is it a worse sin than anything else? It's just a sin nonetheless. It's
I
the same
didn't.
thing as like if I steal a chocolate bar or whatever.
I didn't say it was worse or better than anything else. So, but what I'm saying is, if it's always a sin to disobey God, that means disobeying God on the baby paste is a sin, and that distances you from God.
But he's never like written that. You're making a claim for God.
No, that's your claim.
No, your claim is that you baby paste and you're trying to justify it by means. I'm trying to say that I wouldn't listen to him, and I think it's wrong.
We'll try this
And
again.
the gospel teaches otherwise.
Well, it's just a logical deduction. Okay, so if all disobeying God, anytime you disobey God, if that is a sin,
Mhm.
and all sin distances you from God, that means disobeying God in the baby paste distances you from God.
Just like if he tells you to rape somebody, and you don't rape somebody, it would distance them. Yeah, so put a rape counter out there.
Yeah, that's true. I think we came to an agreement finally.
Okay, so I still believe God is good, and you still believe that baby paste is necessary to believe
Right,
in God.
because you think raping women is good. That's fine.
I is that what I said? Now you're misconstruing my words.
No, it has to be because God caused it to happen.
What do you mean?
If God causes it to happen, it can't be bad. God can't do bad.
God caused people to rape people?
Yeah. On multiple
That
occasions,
just sounds
even.
like listen, if you go to jail, man, or you go to court and they're like, listen, God made me do that, they're just gonna send you to jail.
So the Bible's wrong?
What do you mean the Bible's wrong?
When the Bible says that God is causing it, the Bible wasn't being true?
I didn't say that it wasn't being true. Did I say that? That's not my argument for it. Are you trying to argue the truth of the Bible or not?
No, you are.
personally don't
You
believe in
said
it.
you said God didn't cause it.
I don't believe that God intentionally went down and raped those people. No,
I didn't say
think
God
that-
did it. I said God caused it.
I think that God was watching the circumstances from the outside, kind of how like if there was a multiverse and he's watching David do wrong to his son and things play out in a way in a time where rape is pretty common and there's harems and David's son didn't like him and it kind of like played out like in perfect terms. It's almost like he didn't even have to do anything. We let it happen to ourselves.
So then it wasn't a punishment.
Self-punishment, right? Like he did it to himself.
No, it wasn't a punishment from God.
He was just like showing off like what was going to happen, right? to
No.
begin with.
If God didn't cause it to happen, that means it's not a punishment from God.
He just confirms that it is. That's what he gets the high priest to tell him,
I'm
right?
confused. Is it a punishment from God or not?
Well, you're claiming that it is, right? Or you're claiming that it isn't actually because it. 'cause
I'm
it affected the
asking
wrong
you,
people.
is it a punishment from God or not?
I think it is. Yeah, I think a lot of people are affected in that.
That means he
Son,
caused
his
it.
Dad is. I think that it was already in effect.
No,
I think
then
he
it's
caused
not
the
a
creation of the
punishment.
universe, and we make the decisions from there.
No, punishments are chosen. They're decisions, right? So if God punished him, that means he caused it. If God's
So
not,
if I dig a hole and I fall into the hole and I can't get out of the hole, that's not a self punishment.
no, we're not talking about
No.
self punishments. We're talking about what God did.
But like how I read this story and how it's taught, at least, is that like David pretty much dug himself a hole and he jumped in the hole and he's
No,
dead.
that's not how it's taught. So to try to track me here, we're talking about God's punishments, okay? We're not talking about if you do something dumb, will there be consequences in the real world. We're talking about God's punishments. Did God punish David using this method or not?
Yeah, I think he was punished to some extent. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so
I think a lot of people were
if
punished.
God used this as a punishment and God says, I'm doing it, that means God's responsible for it.
In this case, sure.
Yeah, obviously, which means what happened to the wives was God's decision. He caused it to happen.
Sure.
Which means you're okay with a God that has women raped for the crimes of their husband.
Because I live by the Old Testament and I like the Old Testament God so much, and I talk about how great the Old Testament God
It's
is.
the same God as the New Testament God. It's true.
If you grab those pillars of what he stands on, none of this is valid. No, he wouldn't have made people rape each other. He wouldn't. If I remember correctly,
How many gods are there?
One God, and God at one point talks about in the Bible
there
that
you go.
we are.
So it's the same God. If there's one God, it's the same God,
Look,
whether
there's
no matter what
verses in the
testament
Bible
you're
that talk
in.
about how. Look, no, wait, pause. There's verses in the Bible that talk about how after well, you can just laugh. It's fun, but it's what I believe, at least, and I think it comes from some theological or historical evidence. Maybe not historical, in this case, theological. Babylon, when it was a thing, and they made the Tower of Babel, it says that after they were all dispersed, that he left us to the gods. So if there's only one God, what gods did he leave us to?
That's not what. Okay. What version of the Bible are you reading?
Man, sorry that I gotta Google everything. I don't have everything like on deck. I'm just a dude that was waiting in line. I'm just a guy. I don't know if that's apparent or not. I think it's pretty clear.
Are you referring to when he said, "Let us come down"?
No.
I don't know of anything in Genesis 11 that says that God left us to the other gods.
Yeah, it says God abandons us and he lets somebody rule over us.
It's not in the tower story. You talk about the Tower of Babel. That's Genesis 11.
Yeah, 10 and 11, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's in 10, is it? Just 11, I thought.
I don't know. I was Googling. I'm just like roughing. I'm looking right now, man.
I mean, nevertheless, you believe there's only one real God, and you believe that it's the same God in the Old Testament as it is in the New Testament, which means it doesn't matter.
To some extent, yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter what God did in the Old Testament. It's the same God. And shit, in your belief, if you're a Trinitarian, then you have to think that Jesus was okay with it.
Okay with letting this all happen?
Yeah. Why wouldn't he be?
Okay with the consequences, sure. I'm not okay with how things are going down. I think that's why he stepped in and played self-sacrifice.
So Jesus and Yahweh disagreed about David's punishment?
I'd say they disagreed. 3 persons in one, right? So
are they not in one?
I said they are in one. They work in harmony, right?
Okay. Does Jesus and the Father always agree?
In the way of Father Son do, yeah.
No, I mean, do they agree?
Yeah, the way of Father Son do, yeah.
On all things.
Yeah, in the way of Father Son do, yeah.
So they agree on everything.
Yes, in the same way a father and a son does.
Then they would have agreed on the punishment handed out to David and his wives and children.
I think a father and a son have similar opinions and they would come to the same conclusion, but no, there's a thing of like sacrifice and forgiveness, right? Like the whole ongoing trend of this. Like, so I know that you're trying to take the story and just be like, look, there is no grace, there is no sacrifice to this, but
I didn't
there
say
must
anything
be.
about
Like, I don't know the
grace.
context for any of this. I would have to look into the whole story of David and Bathsheba to really give you a better conclusion on whether I think that was completely unjust or not. As of right now, I don't think it's good for anybody, which I made very clear, to suffer to somebody else's sins unless it's them choosing to willingly.
Yeah. Why does God seem so like hyped to do it all the time? He brags about it in Exodus 34:7.
He brags about punishing other people for other people's sins.
Yeah. He says that he will visit the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and the children's children into the third and the fourth generation.
Oh, okay. That's where I believe there's a generational thing where it's like you do something for enough time, it does like impact. Where like kind of like mental illness, it goes through like generations.
Well, that's genetic. I'm talking about punishments.
Yeah, I'm saying that like some sin can be genetic. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Sin is genetic?
I'm saying some sin can be genetic. Like people do it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
Somebody said twice baked. I'm 4 times baked. Continue.
I'm talking about punishments though, right? So like if I commit a crime, should my children's children be punished for it?
I think they can be if they're doing the same crime, but I don't think they should be. No.
Right. But God does it. God says he will visit the iniquity of the fathers upon the children. And then we see that happening in the Bible. When he did with the Amalekites in 1 Samuel 15:3, he punished them for what their forefathers did 400 years ago.
Which was
So the Amalekites, when in Exodus chapter 17, when the Israelites were coming up out of Egypt, they crossed by the Amalekite territory, and the Amalekites was like, I don't think so. And they went out and they fought with Israel. And then God was so mad that he's like, hey, listen, I'm going to wipe all these Amalekites out eventually. And then 400 years later, he finally gets around to doing it, and he kills all the men, women, children, and babies.
So this sounds like a city war type thing, right? Like one city against the other, and then the people like being punished for sins that happen over like a generation, right?
Well, about 400 years, so quite a few generations.
I don't know why Siri was going on it. Sorry. I don't know the context for this. I don't know why they should have been punished or not. And I can't like justify it, obviously.
Right. And these are difficult Bible passages. So I bring you to these Bible passages because I don't think a lot of people are reading them, and they are difficult if you actually break them down.
I'm gonna be honest, that's why I don't like reading the Old Testament. It's brutal.
It is brutal. And when I was a Christian, the Old Testament was very difficult to read because there's a lot of shit in there that
It's much worse than the New Testament, yeah.
it's hard to justify. And the problem that we find is even in like the character of Jesus says to follow the law forever. He says in Matthew 5:17-19 that anyone who teaches people not to follow the law would be called great in the least in the kingdom of heaven, and people who follow the law and teaches others to follow the law would be called great. So like Jesus seems to think that the law of Moses is a good thing.
Like the 1 to 10, right?
That's the law and the prophets.
Or are you just talking about like the 612?
All of them. That's the law of Moses.
Yeah, but we don't like looking at his life and what he teaches. He doesn't follow all of them. He makes the Jews eat unclean food. He makes them do a lot of the sins. So
Actually,
would you say that he's just being a hypocrite?
Actually, I don't think that happened. In Mark chapter,
it does. He makes him eat grain on one of the Sabbaths. He make like
that's
people are always coming up.
That's not a law. There's no law against plucking heads of grain on the Sabbath.
They were cussing him for like working. Wasn't that the idea?
The Pharisees were, because he broke the tradition of the elders. The tradition of the elders is a reference to the oral law that we now have in the Jewish Talmud. So the tradition of the elders was external to the law of Moses. And we see constantly that Jesus is disagreeing with the Pharisees on this particular issue. He chastises the Pharisees for not keeping the law of Moses and keeping the tradition of the elders instead.
Well, what do you have against the law of Moses, the 1 to 10? Are you talking about 6:12?
That's what I'm saying. There's no such thing as just the 1 to 10 laws of Moses. Like the laws of Moses are all the laws of Moses.
Yeah, but when at least what I'm taught and what I read through the New Testament is that he talks about the 1 to 10, what comes down on the Mount Canaan.
I've never seen
you're
it.
just saying that it's all 6:12.
I've never seen a single instance where Jesus or literally anybody in the New Testament said that the law of Moses was only the 10 commandments.
No, you're right, but they don't live by all 6:12. It's very clear.
But they do.
but they don't.
No, Christians don't. The Jews did.
So wait a second.
And
They
Jesus
send
did.
letters to other churches talking about not having to get circumcision. They do a bunch of these things.
Mhm.
What are you talking about?
What I'm saying is
The
that
Jews lived by their Jewish rules, yeah, but they didn't force anybody when they came to Christ. What do you mean?
after Jesus died, they changed the rules. Jesus didn't say to do that. Jesus said to follow the law.
Yeah, until then, because that's what they had to do.
No,
The chosen people of God, right?
he
The
didn't say.
Israelites.
He didn't say until.
But that was the idea. He came with the New Testament, and then everything changed. Like he died, right?
Mm-mm.
The new covenant,
No,
the new blood of Christ.
that was invented after he died. If you read Matthew 5, Jesus says, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to
But
fulfill."
to fulfill it, yeah.
Yeah, fulfill doesn't mean abolish, though.
Okay, I didn't say that all the rules were taken. What is your biggest complaint about all this?
What I'm saying is you're trying to run away from the laws of Moses, and you can't really do it the way you want to. You want to.
What are the laws of Moses that I need to be following today then to be a Christian?
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask Jesus, you need to follow all the laws as best you can. If you don't believe in the words of
Does he
Jesus
tell
and you
that to
believe
everybody?
in the words of Paul, then you wouldn't.
But does he tell that to everybody?
He does say it. Want to read the passage?
You can go at it. I don't.
Okay. It says, "For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass away from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments," and whoever is not a closed statement, it's anyone, whoever, right?
Mhm.
So he said, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So what he's saying is that it's better to follow the commandments than to not follow them.
I think there's this big thing, and at least this is what I'm being taught, is that there's the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and then some come with spiritual perspective, and that they are rulers on the Jewish people, and the other ones come with laws that govern the people and them on a country base. And Jesus came against the people that were trying to turn the religion into a thing, like to fight against Rome. Like everybody thought that he was going to be the Messiah for a revolution. Like that's not what he came for. He came to abide by the law, right?
But that's the problem. The prophets all said he was going to come and defeat their enemies and be the king.
Yeah, but they're two different prophecies, right? Like one says that he comes as a servant, one says that he comes to break us free. Which
Oh,
one comes
no.
first?
Neither. There's only one prophecy about the Messiah. There's a couple, but they're all say the same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some that say that he's coming as a servant to be
No.
pierced for our iniquities. Yeah,
No,
what
I
do you
don't
mean?
think that exists at all. I think that's a
He
misreading.
references it on the cross
Yeah.
too. David,
Now
that's
you're
one of the.
confusing Psalm 22 with Isaiah 53, and Jesus didn't say it was even a prophecy.
Jesus has to confirm that it's a prophecy.
But I don't think it is a prophecy. Psalm 22 is a psalm, not a prophecy. What do you think a prophecy
Which is
is?
a calling, like a calling to the future.
Yeah, Psalm 22 is not doing any of that. Psalm 22 is King David writing about his own struggles in the present tense.
And what does it say? That we will be redeemed through King David's
No, it doesn't say anything about
lineage.
anyone being
Yeah,
redeemed.
it does. Yeah, we all of humanity is redeemed through King David's
Does
lineage.
not say that in Psalm 22.
You're right. It's not specifically in Psalm. You're making it seem like I'm not taking context from the rest
No,
of the Bible.
nothing you said is in Psalm 22. You're conflating Psalm 22 with Isaiah 53.
What do you mean? Like, are you talking about how, like, when David is complaining about his life and whatnot, you're saying that that's not a prophecy?
It's not. No, writing a song of lament is not a prophecy.
A song of lament. That's how you see it as?
That's literally what it is. Because you don't believe that all of David's psalms are prophecies. You only like this one, and you only like one paragraph.
I don't think he was a divine prophet. Like Islam believes that all the prophets were good and they all come with divine messages. I believe that some of them come with messages, and they're messages for whatever's set out, right?
Yeah, but prophecies need to at least be in the future tense if they're predicting the future.
In future tense?
Yeah.
And what, that doesn't?
No, it doesn't. It's all
It
present
just
tense.
talks about his lament.
Yep, it's all present tense. This is what's happening to me.
And that doesn't happen to Christ. That same, like, when he references.
It's not a prophecy.
But it's all happening to him. Those things, right?
But no, it doesn't.
So he isn't pierced, his hands and feet. They don't take off his clothes and then
It-
pay money for it.
Well, it doesn't say his hands and feet were pierced in Psalm 22.
Well, what does it say then? Do I don't have the thing right in front of me. I'll have to search it up myself.
That's
then.
the fun part. Psalm 22, verse 16, famously has about 10 different interpretations because the Hebrew
My
that
God, why are you so far from me? Why have you forsaken me? So my fries cried in anguish. My God.
verse 16 is the one you want.
All the way down, eh?
hmm
Dogs surround me, a pack of villains encircle me, they pierce my hands and my feet. Yeah, all my bones are on display.
Yeah, I'm going to show you the problem. Mine says, "For the dogs are all around me, a company of evildoers encircle me. They bound my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones. They stare and gloat over me." Now, some translations say something completely different. Some translation says, "Like a lion at my hands and my feet." Other translations will say, "They dig at my hands and my feet." Some say, "My hands and my feet shriveled." And the reason why all these translations disagree is because the Hebrew
You say they
text.
disagree, but if we were to put them all into context to what happened to Christ, is that not? He shrivels his hands and feet. He was whipped a bunch. His bones were showing. They act like wolves, like lions. I don't know, man. I think you're
Well,
being picky here.
I'm not being picky. I'm talking about what words mean, and I'm trying to illustrate to you why none of the translations agree. Okay, so having your hands and your feet pierced is a fundamentally different word than having your hands and your feet bound. Different words. Now, the reason
Where his feast, like, wasn't he pierced and bound? You can't just do both. Like, can't just
I
crucify
don't
somebody
think we were not told that he's bound to the cross, but it's also irrelevant. We're talking about the meaning of the word in the text. And the word in the text, if it was going to be pierced in Hebrew, should be dekar. That doesn't show up in the text. What we actually have is a word that is clearly either somebody misspelled or it's been damaged and lost to history. Because what we actually have in the passage is one of two different Hebrew words. It's ka'ari, which means like a lion, which is why the Jewish Publication Society reads like a lion at my hands and my feet. Or if you go with the Dead Sea Scrolls, like the oldest one in the Nehal Never scroll, Nehal Hever, it doesn't say that. It actually gives you a word that's not a real word. It says ka'aru, and ka'aru is not a real Hebrew word. Either somebody made a mistake.
What would it mean then?
It doesn't mean anything. It's not a real word. That's what I'm saying.
So what would they have in place of that? We're just saying that the word, because we don't know, like, we'll never know that word, we're screwed for life
That's
now.
what I'm saying. Outside of the Masoretic text, our oldest Hebrew text don't have a real word. It's obviously a mistake, and people are guessing as to which word they thought was in there. It could be the verb kara, which means to dig, which is why some translations say they dig at my hands and my feet, meaning the dogs that are around him. Some translations say ka'ari, and the reason why ka'ari is popular is because ka'aru and ka'ari, the only difference between the ending of the word is whether or not the little yod got elongated. And it was very common for yods to accidentally get elongated as the text was transmitted. And so most translations by the Jews understand that this is probably the case that happened, and it probably read like a lion because he's depicting his struggles as being attacked by a bunch of dogs, a bunch of lions, a bunch of bulls of Bashan. And so that's how they do that. So all I'm saying is,
But weren't they doing that to Jesus as well? They were around him, they're yelling at him, they're chasing him. Like, that sounds like dogs or lions barking to me, man.
No, I agree. David is using metaphors for what is happening to him.
And Jesus references those metaphors.
Why do I care?
Because he's not Jewish doing it for fun.
But
he says that he lies his own life down. He dies on the cross. It's an event that happens.
But it's
and
not
he's doing this all.
prophesied.
He's prophesying. He's mentioning
He's
that.
not.
Look, in the past,
David's
it was said,
not
and this is
prophesying.
what I'm saying now. No, I'm saying Jesus is.
But David didn't.
Claiming that
David didn't prophesy this. Is what I'm saying.
I think it's prophetic. I think
it's
it is.
not prophetic.
A semblance. Why wouldn't it be?
Why would it be? There's nothing in here about the future.
This is what I believe about, like, how it goes is Jesus, it comes down the lineage of obviously Eve, and it says that he will, like, our change will be broken from David's lineage because he's king forever or some stupid shit. And then what is it called? That it comes through Eve. So, like, isn't that like a whole, like, connection thing there? Where, like, when Jesus comes, he's referencing to show the lineage.
Again, the Bible doesn't say that. But anyways, what I'm saying is that prophecies are a clear, actual form of speech. Like, you can't just go to anything in the Bible and be like, shit, that sounds like something that happened to somebody else later. We're going to call it a prophecy. That's not how prophecy works.
Yeah, but he referenced it for fun.
No, He referenced it because he was suffering like David. So in the first century,
He was suffering like David?
in the first century, the most famous writings of the Old Testament were the laments of David, because the people had suffered continuously under the Greeks, under the Romans, and they believed that the writings of David helped to embody their own anguish. And certainly it did. And I'm sure when Jesus was on the cross, he probably felt like David's writings did a good job of embodying his anguish. But that doesn't mean it becomes a prophecy.
Okay, if I'm correct or not, Jesus uses parables galore. He understands the gods around him. He understands literature.
I don't think he
telling me
does.
Oh, at all. Okay, so
I mean, I know he doesn't. He can't even speak Hebrew. He can't even read it.
he spoke Aramaic and barely understood. What do you mean?
I don't believe he knew what was in the Hebrew Bible, because he misquotes it. In fact, he says in Matthew 22, he completely misunderstands what's happening in Psalm 110. He thinks David is speaking in Psalm 110, and you would only believe that if you read it in Greek. If you read it in Hebrew, it's clear that it's not David speaking. It's a prophecy to King David.
That's a prophecy to King David, you're saying?
Yeah, it says it. It says an
Like
oracle,
Psalm 22?
an oracle of Yahweh to my master.
So this was saying to him, you're saying?
Yes, exactly. It's someone from King David's court, maybe Asaph, who is giving a prophecy from Yahweh to the king. Which is clear, again, if you read it in Hebrew. The only problem is if you read it in Greek, because in the English Bible, when
it doesn't say that King David will rule forever, like through his lineage?
No, it says his throne will be established forever.
Through his lineage?
Obviously through his lineage, but Jesus wasn't part of David's lineage.
Joseph, his adopted father, was.
He wasn't born to Joseph.
You're right, he wasn't. I said his adopted father was.
Sure. Listen, if you want to say he came from the line of David because somebody adopted him, be my guest. I think that's weak.
I'm okay with you thinking that that's weak. That's what I believe, though.
No, I know you believe it. I just think that's weak. I think someone should be born from the actual line of David, not adopted into it.
Why? Isn't that the whole idea of God, that we're adopted into his love?
Because the Old Testament doesn't say you're going to adopt somebody into my family. It says that I will establish your lineage forever.
So and I think he does, and you're making the claim that he doesn't.
I don't think it does. I think adoption's weak. I think it's a cope, is what I think. Also, it doesn't really fix the problem, which is that if you actually read the genealogies, both of them are wrong. For example, it says in Matthew that it goes through the line of Jeconiah, and Jeconiah was cursed. In Jeremiah 22, it says that none of his descendants will ever sit on the throne of King David. So Matthew screwed the pooch there.
So maybe there is like a double standard there. Maybe there wasn't somebody supposed to actual figure, because people think that there was supposed to be a throne that's risen in Israel again, right?
Well, the prophets said so. The prophets said that the Messiah would be a king on the throne, and that the Levitical sacrifices will continue. Want to read an actual messianic prophecy?
No, I get that, but I think that they did continue. They were fulfilled once and for all with the resurrection of Christ.
Nope. Completely wrong according to the prophets. Want me to read you why?
Go for it.
Okay, here's an actual prophetic word about the Messiah. This is from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 33. The days are surely coming, says the Lord, when I will fulfill the promise that I made to the house of Israel and the house of Judah. In those days and at that time, I will cause a righteous branch to spring up for David. He shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. Now, we understand that the branch from David is the Messiah, right?
Yeah.
All right. It says, in those days, Judah will be saved. Jerusalem will live in safety. And this is the name by which it will be called. The Lord is our righteousness. First problem, Jesus didn't do that. Second problem is verse 17 and 18. For thus saith the Lord, David shall never lack a man to sit on the throne of the house of Israel, and the Levitical priests shall never lack a man in my presence to bring burnt offerings and to make grain offerings and to make sacrifices for all time. Burnt offerings and grain offerings are very specific Mosaic offerings.
Yeah, and you're saying that none of that was completed by the perfect sacrifice?
No.
Because they need to be that specific.
Yeah, a burnt offering and a grain offering are real things in the law of Moses, and they're not even the same offering.
Yeah, that's why there's the division, right, between the burnt and the.
Yeah, they're different offerings.
And you're saying that because of a sacrifice like the one of Abraham, that doesn't do it.
No, I didn't say anything. What I'm saying is that when the Messiah comes, according to Jeremiah 33, the Levitical priests will still be giving offerings. That's what it says.
Isn't that what they're trying to do in Israel right now? Bring back the third temple and continue the offerings,
The Levitical
the
priests,
red heifer and stuff.
when the Messiah is here, he will be on the throne and there will be Levitical sacrifices, which is a contradiction because the book of Hebrews says that he's the final sacrifice.
If God is not bound by time, why can't he just come back and do these things? I don't understand. Like, you're making
Because
it seem like he's bound by like by like when these things need to be played out.
you can't be the final sacrifice and then bring back sacrifices.
I think you can. Yeah.
No, he can't by
Yeah,
definition.
because he says, he makes it very clear that the ultimate love is sacrifice, and that like if you want to embody the love that he showed you, it's by self-sacrifice. So I think you can.
We'll try this again. You're bending the word sacrifice. The book of Hebrews says Jesus is the final sacrifice, referring to him dying,
Bingo.
which means there won't be any future sacrifices, which means we
Yeah,
shouldn't
100%.
which means we shouldn't be expecting the Levitical sacrifices to come back.
What would you consider a Levitical? Like, what is the definition of that, and why were they being done?
Burnt offerings, grain offerings, wave
And why?
offerings.
They're to do something, right? Like versus like the other ones. Why were those so particular?
To forgive sins, to give goodwill,
Those
to
ones
do the
forgave
first
sins? No,
fruits.
those ones, if I were
No,
correct,
the burnt offering
they
is
were just a
typically for forgiving sins.
yeah, but it didn't actually forgive the sin. It was just
It
to
did.
hold them over until they actually did a sacrifice.
No, it forgave the sins.
It just forgave the sins, the burnt
They're
offering.
literally called atoning sacrifices.
Burnt. I was taught that there's a difference between the burnt offerings and the sacrifice that they do at the end of the year for all of Israel.
Oh, you're referring to Leviticus 16, the Day of Atonement, when they do the congregational sins, not the individual sins.
What do you mean?
So Leviticus 16 is about the sins of the entire congregation. The individual
Yeah.
sacrifices, those are for the individuals when they become aware.
Yeah, but delay them until that main day happens, so then they're all atoned for. No,
No, they receive the atonement even before the Day of Atonement.
for a burnt offering.
So Leviticus 16 is about congregational sin because when you're a group of people, if one person sins, it spreads. It spreads to the temple, it spreads to the outer courts, it spreads to the other people that are there. It's like a yeast in the leaven, it spreads, right? So you need to
Yeah,
have
that's
one
right.
sacrifice that deals with the congregational spread of sin, not the individual sin. And that was how that worked.
And that doesn't atone for single sin as well. It's just for the group.
Yeah, it's for the group. Yeah. That's why you had individual sins. That's why it says in Leviticus, when someone becomes aware of their sin, whether intentional or unintentional, here's the offerings to bring, right? So,
But wouldn't it make sense? I could be wrong, but if the whole group's forgiven of sin, doesn't that mean that they have no sin in that moment, right?
no, it means the group becomes purified of the sin that they had already committed. And then they're
Yeah,
going
which
to
they
go
become aware
on.
of, yeah.
Then they're going to go on and they're going to commit more sins.
Yeah, and if they do it on a solo basis, they atone for it solely, right? But
Right. Yes. And if Jesus was the last thin sacrifice, then we shouldn't see them coming back again.
like the burnings you're saying, and like these rituals.
Yeah, we don't need sin offerings if Jesus was the last one.
But wouldn't they bring it back just for the prophecy? Isn't that the idea?
No, they wouldn't. It would be unnecessary. And it would contradict Hebrews. Why would they bring back sin offerings if the sins were already dealt with by Jesus?
But the Hebrews don't believe that. I don't understand your.
The book of Hebrews says that Jesus was the final sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What that means is that now that the Messiah has given us the final sacrifice, there's no need for other sacrifices. And the people The people that are with the Messiah in Jeremiah 33, they're with the Messiah.
Mhm.
They have Levites giving sin sacrifices.
In that yeah, that's what you're saying for the future, like for the prophecy to make sense.
Yeah. The prophecy states that when the Messiah is present, there will always be somebody on that throne, and the Levitical priests will continually be giving these sacrifices.
On Israel, like,
In Israel, yeah.
but nobody's on that throne yet, so can't he just come back and do that? I guess I get what you're saying, it's unnecessary, but it could still be, like, done. It has nothing to do with it
No
not
one's
being done.
asking, could it be done? We're asking why it contradicts the book of Hebrews. If he's the final sacrifice, then
It's
it
not like a
doesn't make
contradiction, it just sounds unnecessary, right?
it is a contradiction. Either he's the final sacrifice or he's not.
I mean, that can't be done as a ritual. Clearly, like, it's very ritualistic,
So
right?
God just wants you to ritualistically kill a bunch of animals for fun?
No, well, that's where I come to the conclusion of, at least this is what I believe, that, like, that Jesus comes so we don't do any of that, right? There's no point of any of that ritual.
Then why is
I
God
think that's the
predicting
idea.
that that's what's going to happen when the Messiah comes?
Because that's what people do. People still do shit like that. Like, I don't like you see that all the time. What are
I
you talking about?
don't. Do you know anyone doing that?
You're gonna deny the fact that people in the Middle East and people in Africa don't, like, kill animals all the time to forgive them of sins? What are you talking about?
I don't think they
You're right.
do.
I don't know directly of my friends or family that do any of that, but I could tell you, coming from Brazil, there's this thing called it's kind of like black magic, I guess. I forgot what it's like. It's like a ritualistic thing,
Yeah,
and
but
they do that. They do
but do
sacrifices
they
all the
believe
time.
that Jesus is the Messiah?
No, you're right. They don't have these this context of the last sin.
Okay,
and
because
doing these rituals.
well, just pay attention, because in Jeremiah 33, the people doing the sacrifices are God's people. The Levitical priests are doing it. They work for the king, the Messiah. The Messiah is having them do these sacrifices that are completely meaningless.
So you're trying to make the argument that, like, the Messiah is going to have these Levitical people do these ritualistic things.
Yeah, it says so. It says in Ezekiel too.
And that these things can't be done in a spiritual sense, that it have to be physically on the throne in Israel, and Jesus is going to make them do it.
Yeah, does it say spiritual? Does it say it's just going to happen this way?
It just says, I'm not trying to make an inference or something. I'm
Right.
just
I mean, you don't pay spiritual taxes. Like, you don't bring a prayer
I
to
don't
pay your
pay a spiritual
taxes.
tax.
You don't pay your taxes spiritually.
I think you do. That's conviction, right? That's the Holy Spirit.
No, you don't.
Heart of stone to flesh, but whatever.
When you pay your taxes, you give them your money.
Yeah, it's like a tithing of sorts. In this case, to the government for roads and whatnot.
Yeah. All right, listen, Lucky, I think we've covered enough ground. I've got time for maybe one more guest, and then I've got to read some super chats because
Go at it.
my curfew
Thanks
is
for
5
having me.
o'clock.
I have a question for you, though, real quick,
Mhm.
before I bounce out of here too. The real reason I'm a Christian, and I'd like you to just give your opinion on this. Maybe it's just is not because I've just read the Bible, was grown up on it. I actually strayed away from it a long time ago, and I'm back to it now. I had a dream where I met Jesus, and it was a very short conversation. It was the rapture was happening, and I was going to heaven, and he was like, "You get in," and I'm like, "I get in for free," and he nods at me, and I'm like, "I don't deserve to be in," and then he still nods at me. And then I end up crying real hard, and I'm like, "But I gotta win myself in." And then he said it was finished, and I remember waking up, and I was hugging him in the palm of his hand. All of that seems very biblical to me. That salvation is a gift, and that it's all of this stuff, and that I'm just.
No, the rapture's
Was
not
this just like a
biblical.
dream that I had, and it was just all delusion?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that then.
There's no rapture in the Bible.
No, I get that, but I'm saying, was this just a delusion dream that was gospel based? I guess.
Yeah, it happens to people in all different religions. Your dreams are typically bound up by the culture that you're in. For example, if you're in the Hindu culture and you have a dream that involves God, it's always the Hindu gods.
I do believe that people do have dreams that. Okay, how about near-death experiences? A lot of people do come to the same conclusion that there is a God, and that it might not be the God of Abraham, but there is this oneness, and they all come to get salvation as a gift.
Well, first of all, that contradicts your worldview because you believe the Bible is the correct worldview. But also, we've done studies on near-death experiences, and it turns out that nobody can actually confirm a real near-death experience. Like, so for
So these people
example,
don't have them.
No, they don't. It's their hallucinations in your brain.
I think that's an easy way to just back out of everything.
It's not. You want to see why that is?
Just because hormones are released and everybody has a similar experience.
They don't have similar experiences. You want to hear why?
I mean, they sound pretty synonymous to what people on psychedelics or even like the similar experiences of other people dying have. So I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
agree. Do you know we've studied this? Do you know there are professionals studying this right now?
Yeah, no, I'm trying
Okay.
to stay on tune to it. That's why.
Now, the professionals who are actually studying it have set up real laboratory type settings to study it, getting real firm results. So I think the best person doing this right now is Sam Parnia. He just finished his second study in 2023. He'll probably be doing another one soon. He did 2 studies, the Aware Project number 1 and the Aware Project number 2. And what he was doing was he was taking people, and he had 25 different hospitals retrofitted with things you could only see if you left your body, like because everyone reports leaving their body during their near-death experiences. And then when people
the
claim
documentary I watched, it claims that it talks about this guy actually.
So yeah, exactly. So when people claim to be leaving their body, what happens is none of them can actually validate that they witnessed anything that they should have been able to witness had they left their body. We've done
So if there are some people who can validate, would you consider it?
No one ever has.
So have you never watched the movie Life After Death? I get that it's Christian based, but there are people in there who claim to, and there are doctors that can back them.
I've never seen a doctor validate one.
Well, this is a documentary, so then instead of it just being like you can look into that yourself, right?
I'm more than happy to look over any study you want me to look at, but I don't think
It's just a documentary.
I
and
don't
then
think
you
I don't think anecdotal stories are all that helpful if we can't reproduce it.
No, you're right, but like if they can reproduce it, right? Like this is one case, and then it's in the documentary, and she recalls, and the doctors can confirm on it what happened to the surgery.
Right.
And the surgery was pretty intensive. It's where they take out most of the blood out of your body, stop your heart rate, and they lower your brain sensitivity, and they keep like electrodes to make sure that your brain function isn't too high.
Yeah,
They
sure.
do very invasive surgeries.
What did she see that she wouldn't have been able to see?
Apparently, she was able to describe the surgery in depth, and the doctors were in shock because she was dead.
What was her surgery?
It was supposed to be a removal of a gall-sized tumor in the size of her brain.
Did she know she was getting a gall-sized tumor removed?
That's it. Yeah.
It doesn't seem very hard to guess what was going to happen.
She described the surgery, like what people did, what people said during the surgery when she shouldn't have heard anything. That's what I'm
You know,
trying to
some
get at.
people are aware even under anesthesia, right?
She was dead, like clinically. There was no blood
Well-
on her body. Heart rate was lowered. If you
Well-
want to justify by
well,
any means you
that's-
can.
Well,
I'm
that's
okay.
the whole point behind the Aware Project. If you read the conclusion of the Aware Project, is that sometimes the signs of death doesn't mean they're actually dead. The brain is still actually functioning.
So your argument is her brain was functioning the whole time.
Yeah. And we have lots of examples of this happening. Even in comas, people have what is perceived sometimes as being brain dead states, and then it turns out they're not actually completely brain dead. Like we're rethinking what it means to be dead because of all the new data we've collected.
So when she recalls what happens, it's just, oh, she was more aware, she was alive. And then when she goes, oh, I also had an experience before, you go, honky day, that was just you getting high off of drugs.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that argument then. I'm okay with a little bit of spiritual in this world butter.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, best of luck to you. I would
Thanks for having me. This was fun. Your thing's entertaining. I like to watch.
Yeah, I mean, come back anytime. Just know that in future conversations, we always stick to the text.
Clear enough, but I'm glad that you know that I'm not a baby paste guy, even though God's gonna tell me to do it or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Stay away from baby paste.
I will.
I'll give you credit. You didn't cave in the baby paste.
I can't, man. Even if God's gonna tell me to make baby paste, I'm not gonna do it. And if He does, I hope I find an outing if I do it. God.
All right. Well, at least you get a W for that. All right.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. Be safe.
You too. Take it easy.
Well, at least he didn't cave into the baby paste. All right. I promised last time that I wouldn't leave a bunch of super chats hanging, so I'm going to read super chats now. If I have time after I get through the super chats, we'll take our next guest. But so many people sent super chats during that long conversation. I don't want them to feel like they spent their money in vain. So let me go ahead and run through what we've got. Marcus says, "Go Ravens." And here's the thing, Marcus. I hate the fact that the Browns were sold to Baltimore to make the Ravens. That being said, you kind of have to respect what they've done. The Ravens, in a short period, put together a hell of a team, and I've really enjoyed their coaching. As a football fan myself, I love to see good coaching, and I love what the Ravens have done. So, I mean, all the best to them for what they've done, even if they did steal the old Browns fan. Or the old Browns team. Tim says, if a man lies with a man as he lies with a woman, if a man lies with a man as he lies with a woman, he should be stoned. Good advice. It helps you relax. That's really what you need. You need the good old word of God to let you know what to be thinking about in your downtime. Just not this type of downtime. Charlie says, have you ever looked at Luciferianism? Not really. I do know a little bit about the Satanic Temple, but not Luciferianism. I don't think Lucifer's a real person. So, Larry Beck, thank you for sending out 5 DZ Debates memberships. I really appreciate that, friend. Huge W. It's super generous. And Unashamed Apostate coming again with John 8:44, great verse. It says, Satan was a murderer and from the beginning. Who did he murder? Not including the deaths in Job. Who did Satan murder in the beginning? So, Unashamed, this is actually a really good question. We've never actually went down this logic in the live stream before, but Jesus does say, and it says in 1 John, that, he's a liar and a murderer, but I can't seem to find a lot of places where he murdered anyone without God's permission. It seems like the only people he ever murdered was who God said he could murder. Trump failed. Great name. Who's worse, slavery apologists or Zionists? If anyone is into politics, give me a follow here and on TikTok, Free Palestine. Listen, we don't do free clout, but at least you paid for it. That being said, I'm not a Zionist. I have more respect for the Jews than I do for the Christians and the Muslims, because the Jewish people can look at the Old Testament and be like, yeah, it's not really true. It's metaphorical. It's not real history. It's made up. Shit, half the Jews today are atheists anyways. But Zionism is a problem. Zionism is a real problem. And my understanding is that most of the Zionists aren't like firm adherents to the religion. Zionism seems to be coming from the wrong place. I could be wrong. But anyways, we got to find a way to separate the Palestinians and the Jewish people somehow in a manner that's fair. But I understand that in doing so, there's a lot of problems. Like somebody has to give up land somewhere. Cutlery Duck says, I wish for Christians to get together and decide what God actually is once and for all. No more God is insert random word. I will never understand why people do that. Where like, well, I can't. God is rocks, or God is me. God is all of us. God is like it doesn't make any sense when you change the definition of God. The definition of God seems to be pretty standard. Glucose says, Richie, get some Holy Spirit patience and have a real conversation. Dillahunty would eat this guy alive. Praise Duck. Richie was unbearable. I'll never understand people who want to pivot and dodge and won't answer questions. Polly Sorbate says, Jesse's arguments, tribe, huh, dummy? Wait, what? Tribe, hunt? Is it, what? I mean, those are roughly equivalent to the arguments he laid down. They weren't good arguments. And Ehud, the leftist, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the 5 DZ Debates memberships. I appreciate that. And also, Fry says he left Weight Watchers very gracefully, aka Huge Grace. Also made fun of Grace for being huge. Fry, whatever joke is upon the live stream today, I'm never going to get it. I know what a disgrace is. I know what graceful means. I don't know what calling somebody huge grace means. I'm just not following. I'm not following. And now I'm starting to think that you guys are just fucking with me. God's Grim Reaper says, what did the Jehovah's Witnesses say to the young boy? Bend over. And what the Catholics and there's that could fit a lot of believers. Mac Jack says, I am Jesus, or I'm a Jesus. Paul and the Apostles mythicists. So really my question was to challenge my beliefs. Good question. Well, I think challenging your beliefs is good, Mech. That's how I became an atheist. I was willing to challenge my beliefs. So I'm all for challenging our own beliefs. And R says, why does every other caller sound like praise I am? Because when you're having your beliefs questioned, you get hostile, you get nervous, you get bothered under the heat. Larry said, baby paste, Jesus Christ, so to speak. The baby paste is fun. We've got a baby paste emoji now. Carnage Asada, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says the vibes on these Monday callers are immaculate. I know the Monday's crazy. It's been so nice to experience how pleasant, honest, and emotionally stable everyone's been today. Aren't they? They're so pleasant. The people are so pleasant today, friends. Ludanto says he left. Oh my God, we're still going here. He left Weight Watchers for nicknames with great decorum, huge grace. Joke is she was another customer named Grace that he called Huge Grace. I don't get the joke. I'm sure that you guys think you're helping. You're not. Just explain the joke from beginning to end. None of this is helping. Mindful, good to see you, says gullible Lucky is a typical Christian cultist who just invents excuses to justify his dogma. Actually, that seems to be what the apologists do. It's excuseology is basically what's happened. Zanzibar, great to see you, friend. It says eels are envious of Lucky's slippery arguments. There's a lot of contorting and slipping. There was a lot of that, but I get it. When your beliefs are being challenged, rather than being honest, it's easier to say, well, what about this? What about that? What if you change the meaning of this word, right? What if I add to the text? Singer Soul, thank you for the super chat, says, hey, Lucky, was the infant responsible or aware of David's sin? Good question. Great question. Did it deserve the punishment for David's actions? No. The obvious answer is no, it did not deserve the punishment. And Roger says, Lucky is ready to salted and sacrificed to Doug. I agree with you, Roger. He was salted, and I think we all did enjoy a little bit of pretzeling there, including Doug. Crispy Heretic, thank you for the $5 super chat. Hell is a pretzel oven where bad apologists go. Yeah, I buy into that, actually. We really need an Auntie Anne's logo I can put on the screen during these live streams. Larry Beck says, this boy is ripe for Jim Jones or David Koresh. Well, I thought that's where he was going, actually. But, at the end, he said he wouldn't do the baby paste. So I'm going to give him a little bit of charity and say he's not quite ready for David Koresh or Jim Jones yet. Basketball says, women children are character development for men. Isn't that the craziest thing? The punishment of women and children is used for the character development of David rather than recognizing that they're their own individuals with their own set of rights. The Bible. Mr. Marker says the punishment of losing your family is significantly less than the punishment the family experiences getting snuffed by the sky bully. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like, we agree that, listen, losing a loved one is hard, and it certainly could feel like a punishment, but it's nothing compared to getting slaughtered. You know what I mean? By God, like, why? Why would we do this? Or getting raped? Miko says, I don't know what they have to say, but it doesn't matter anyway. Whatever they say, I'm against it. Groucho Marx. Or Christians hearing things from Bible scholars. Miko, I think you're right, actually. They love what Bible scholars say if it agrees with them. Otherwise, they hate it. But thank you for the $10 super chat, Miko. And Josh Barba's in the house. Good to see you. Josh says, it's like pulling teeth. Clown Char Dash. He might not realize it, but he got a little crispier than he wanted. Evan says, if it wasn't for Doug, I don't think I could handle these streams. All hail Doug. Doug does give you the rock solid strength to survive these long, difficult conversations. So praise Doug for that. And Singer Soul coming in again with another super chat. Thank you for the $9.99. It says, I really want to know what his girlfriend thinks of this idea of justice. And I wonder how willing this guy would be to receive the punishment in real life. Talk the talk, but can't walk the walk. So I did ask him, like, in real life, would it be okay if this happened to him? And obviously he said no. The hang up we always have is some people will say, no, this shouldn't happen in a real life, while indicating that, well, it would be a good thing to do. Like, God's justice is always good, but the contradictions abound. Russell, thank you so much for the 616. Hail Satan, Hail Nero says, it seems he thinks it's a punishment to David because the wife and the children are just things of David to be taken away, not people. Like taking away a toy. You nailed it, Russell. That's usually what apologists will say. Like, it was a punishment to David because these are just playthings. They're not real people. They're not sentient, acting, feeling individuals with their own rights and autonomy. Ehud, my friend, great to see you again, says, unlucky dogs get walked harder. Actually, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I see what you did with the words. I'm picking up what you're laying down, my friend. That was good. And Yoda, great to see you. Thank you for the 999 super chat. Says they don't see David's wives as people. They see them as David's possessions. That's how they justify grape as a punishment to David. Rock hard for Doug. Blessed be the stones, boulders, and pebbles alike. Dougulation 1. A Doug to that. I certainly agree with this sentiment. And may the quartz of Doug be with you, Yoda. I really appreciate the verse. Straightforward said, lucky, blah, blah, God, injustice, blah, 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 blah. Then I assume they knew, blah, 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 fried, blah, 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 David bad, blah, 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 fried, blah, blah, charcoal. I mean, that's what you're going to hear in the audience. I get that. Big W. Captain Howdy, thank you for the 666. Hail Nero says, wait right here. I'll be right back. 2,000 years later, crickets. Isn't that the crazy thing? The word soon has no meaning in the Bible. In fact, it not just soon, it says imminently. Imminently. But we got nothing. Josh says, guess smoked his brain cells to paste. There's some paste somewhere. It's a shame because I do like, I think, I'm a fan of the electric lettuce, but Russell said, bro said, God just gonna have to punish me. I ain't making no baby paste burger. Plus 3 points. Respect, he'll forgive you. That's the point, Russell. That's the crazy thing. When people bite this bullet, they're forgetting that even they don't have to bite the bullet. They could just be disobedient and ask for forgiveness later. But people will bite. Like the first caller bit the bullet. So I agree. Plus 3 points to Lucky for not biting the bullet. For saying, no, I wouldn't do it. I would tell God no. And Josh Barber says he read it in High Times, bruh. That's where it was. It was in High Times. And Helping Mega says, is he the poster boy of Christian brain rot? No. He's not nearly as bad as some people we've talked to. I just think he's pretzeling because he doesn't know what else to do. And this is the first time he's been confronted with these things. And he's just like, oh, I don't know where to go. I get it. Herbie says, I'm watching on Ketchup again. Could you say what Jesus is claimed to have said about hell? Much thanks as always. So, Herbie, I did add, and you're a member, I did add a cheat sheet tab for hell in the cheat sheet. So if you go to the cheat sheet, which you have access to, there's a tab that has all of Jesus's quotations on hell, all of the Bible quotations on hell, almost all the quotations about hell from the apocalyptical literature from the intertestamental period and from the Jewish Talmud. So that should give you a really good rundown of what the Bible means when it talks about hell. Hope that helps. Crispy Heretic says, Doug, bless these mods. Yeah, thank you, mods, for being here. Holy shit. Thank you so much for modding on these live streams. And Flux, my friend, welcome back. Flux says, chat, if your yod... Oh shit, what just happened? Try this again. If your yod is elongated, let me know. An elongated yod does sound dirty, friends. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. That is a dirty phrase. And I'm gonna have to whip it out sometime again in the future. See what I did there? I just did the thing, Hacky says, Lucky must be one of those Kundalini Christians with how much he rambles on. Praise Doug. Well, I'll give him this. I don't think he rambled as much as others. He just was struggling to stay on topic. And I understand it's hard when you're getting pressed to stay on topic. But boy, we've had some ramblers in the live stream before. I'll give him a little bit of credit. He could have rambled more in comparison to others. Morpheus, my friend, great to see you. Oh shit, my browser just ran out of memory. What just happened? Of course it did. Reload the browser. This is why we can't have nice things, friends. All right, we'll try this again. Morpheus coming in using his logic. If I quote, I have a dream that one day little black boys and little white girls will hold hands. It is a prophecy of MLK, MLK Jr. That's basically what he's saying, right? If it happens later and somebody's said something similar in the past, then you just make it a prophecy. That seems to be the foundation for most of the Christian prophecies. A lot of them don't come from the prophets. And you know this, Morpheus, you've been around. Skywise, thank you for the 999 super chat, says, when I came home last night upon discovering my friends and family set up an intervention for me, I exclaimed, it's a trap, as foreseen by the prophet Akbar. Fair enough. That's a good reference. I appreciate that. I do have it's a trap emoji on TikTok. I think I uploaded it to YouTube. I don't know if I have it on YouTube yet. I'll have to double check, but I do have an it's a trap emoji. Nordic Spice says, how do you get a nun pregnant? I'm going to love this. Dress her up as an altar boy. UK London, we're spreading the word of your great work. Keep it up. Doug demands it. Nordic, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. There comes the emojis. Yeah, thank you so much. Great joke, by the way. I really appreciate that joke. Spread the word, guys. Serial Dude, great to see you. Says, in the context of David, wouldn't even segs with David be grape if they are concubines who likely couldn't freely consent to being one of the 10 wives? So, Serial, you're correct. Okay, so I believe concubinage is a form of slavery. It's just that it always creates a tangent. Like when we go into concubinage, it creates a bit of a tangent that it gets you distracted from the main story. But if you do read the Bible, it's clear that concubinage is akin to slavery. It's just somewhere in between wife and slave. It's a weird combination. Serial Dude coming again says, a non-baby-paced Christian is just admitting that their subjective moral supersedes God's morality. That's the point, Serial. If you can listen to a command of God and then you can say, oh, I'm not going to do that shit, that sounds horrible, that means you're thinking better than God. You're saying, I think God is wrong, which means you're doing the same thing I'm doing. You're doing the same thing the atheist is doing. We're reading the book and saying that shit's wrong. Smee, not you, says, point on this Baker Mayfield doll where your Lord and Savior Patrick Mahomes has hurt you. I actually liked Baker. I didn't think he was a perfect fit for the Browns, but I liked Baker Mayfield. He had a lot of spunk, had a lot of character. He was a good team builder. If he had not gotten injured, I wondered what would have been. My complaint is the Browns, and I know I'm being overly generic with my claim, and there are examples of this not being true, but I've looked at the statistics over the course of football stats, okay? The Browns have a habit of constantly drafting short quarterbacks. And I get it. There are some amazing short quarterbacks. We've got great examples of short quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, even though he's on a decline, was once a great short quarterback. That being said, if you just look at the statistics, tall quarterbacks, 6'4" or higher, they have a broader play range. You can make passes that short quarterbacks can't make. You can stay in the pocket longer. And typically, you can actually do a lot more screens, which have a higher percentage of completion. Short quarterbacks, on average, have to throw the ball longer and leave the pocket sooner in order to get their throw off, which means it's got a less likely completion percentage. Yes, an example, Drew Brees is another example of a short quarterback who is successful. I'm not saying that short quarterbacks can't be successful. I'm saying that over the course of NFL statistics, the taller the quarterback is, the more variables you have to work with. And being that the Browns traditionally have not built a good team, you need to draft the best quarterback possible. Someone that can stay in the pocket, someone that can do dump pass screens easily and see over the linemen. Sorry, I'm going on a whole rant about football statistics. We're back to the thing. Yoda says, I'm designing the pretzel shop merch while I watch. Well, thank you so much for the pretzel shop merch. Send me what you got over the Discord. Eric Smith says, my vacuum cleaner stopped working, so I put a brown sticker on it. Now it sucks again. Eric, that's a plausible solution. That's a perfectly fine solution, actually. I think that's a great one. All right, I got some more super chats, Fred. Steven says, is there any prophet seeing into the future? I mean, yeah, if you just read like all of the prophets of the actual prophetic books of the Bible, all of them are predicting the future more or less. So yeah, like if people want to say Jesus fulfilled prophecies, take me to an actual book of prophecy. Don't take me to the Psalms. Mind of Puffin, interesting name, says, did you get a chance to ask the caller the hypothetical about whether a husband should be punished for a wife's adultery? I did finally get around to it. That was the first time I asked it, and he seemed to not like that idea. He didn't like that idea at all, although he did quiver on the idea that spouses are somehow responsible for their partner's sin. Nah. G says, it is sickos like Richie that seatbelt the kids into the van and drive them into a pond. Is sickos like Richie that seatbelt? Oh, you doubled it up. Yeah, you're right. Like the people that claim I did it because God told me. Yeah, sick people, sickos that believe this nonsense do it. Bad Religion, thank you for sending out 5 subscriptions on TikTok. I appreciate that. And Edward, thank you for becoming a 1-month subscriber. Big W. Brianna says, should I read one of the original versions of the Bible first or read the NRSV version first? Well, I mean, if you're going to read one of the original versions, you can't read it in English. So Brianna, if you don't know Greek or Hebrew, you're stuck with English. But if you're going to read an English Bible, I would get the New Oxford Annotated Study Bible in the NRSV edition, or the Catholic Study Bible. I like the 3rd edition of the Catholic Study Bible. Both of them are really good study Bibles. My favorite edition of the Catholic Study Bible is called the Note-Taking Catholic Study Bible. And it's the same thing as the Catholic Study Bible, 3rd edition, except the pages are thicker, so either they don't bleed through, and there's margins to write on the side, so you can actually take notes on it. It's cool. And I like the formatting. The format is crisp, very crisp. A lot of straight lines, everything very well, neatly organized. The NRSV sacrificed organization to get more notes in. It's kind of a mess. Dugald, I mean the New Oxford, I mean. Dugald said, Christian, I'm okay with insert horrible thing here because God. Everything else, Christian, you're persecuting me. So Dugald, you're 100% right. Christians will advocate for the baby paste. And then we were like, hey, listen, you insane person. And then we're persecuting them because we're like, maybe we shouldn't do baby paste. Really? Era says, the new covenant still allows for slavery, bro. Yeah, we actually didn't get to that point. We should have just went there instead. But you're right. There's no outlaw of slavery in the New Testament. So that argument didn't do anything for them. And TG says, if the giants in Canaan were as big as the two, the Hebrews... I got to read this slower. If the giants in Canaan were as big to the Hebrews as they were to grasshoppers, how did they fit in the ark? Did Noah kick the dinosaurs off to make room? So this is kind of a good question. So there's always been questions about whether or not Og was on the ark, because Og was the last of the Rephaim. The Rephaim believed to be the produce of the incestuous union of the Nephilim. And so the Jewish rabbis went through great lengths to try to figure out how King Og survived the flood. And they came up with a story that King Og clung to the outside of the boat during the flood. And that's how he survived for 371 days, I think it was. So yeah, King Og surviving the flood is a huge problem. Also, Mark Ballman, thank you so much for the $500 over Cash App. Huge W, Mark Ballman. I super appreciate that. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. That's huge, buddy. Let's get some W's for Mark Ballman. That's huge. Tim says, is it more accurate to call Christians Paulines? I would call them Paulites. Paulines are good. We all know that Christians follow Paul, not Jesus. That's just a fact of the matter. I agree with you guys there. Farm Girl says, please explain to these people there is no new covenant yet. Jeremiah 31. Thank you. Jeremiah 31, 31 through 34. And God specifically says he will forgive their sins. Says nothing about anyone having to die for their sins, i.e. Jesus. Yeah. So Jeremiah 31 is another great book. It also says that during the time period where they receive the heart of flesh and their heart of stone is removed, this time period is going to be accompanied by everybody knowing God. From the least to the greatest, everyone will know God. No one will say to another, there he is, or no God over here, because everyone from the least to the greatest will know God. That's not the case. So Jeremiah 31 could not have come true. Erzmont, my friend, says his wives knew, so SA is okay. Yeah. SA is okay as long as your wives knew that you were doing a bad thing. Never mind that they didn't. What were they going to do? They're subjects of the king. They're sex slaves of the king. What are they going to do? Stop them? It's crazy. Not only are they not responsible, but they shouldn't be given a worse punishment, even if they were responsible, since they didn't do the crime. In most modern societies, if somebody is an accomplice in a crime, you will be guilty of a crime, but it won't be the same crime. You won't get the same punishment, and you won't get a worse punishment than the person who actually did it. Diagoras, thank you for the 200 NOK. Big W says, grape apologists are wild. Good on you for exposing all these crazy people. I'm trying, Diagoras. Sorry about that. I'm trying. When I first got online doing these discussions, I didn't think I'd be doing debates. I thought I'd be having maybe a spirited, polite discussion with people about their religion. And then I talked to people about some of the problems in the Bible, and they gave me the most vile responses ever. And then I was like, oh, these people are toxic. We have to get rid of them. We have to deconvert them. So that's what I do now. Bothell says, I think mafia names Fat Joe, Tall Mike, Huge Grace, Skinny Pete doesn't get it, Justin. Listen, okay, Bothell, somebody's pranking me. Huge Grace is a meaningless thing. It's not an insult. Huge Grace is not an insult as far as I can tell. Thank you for the super chat, though. Good to see you again. Mind of Puffin coming back. Thank you for the super chat. Says, David, didn't you super on the other stream too? David could have taken his wives with him when fleeing from Absalom. He chose to leave them behind, probably remembering this prophetic punishment. This does bring up a good point, which is, why did David leave the 10 wives behind, the 10 concubines? It says to look after the palace, which means David must have believed one of two things is true. He must have believed that what was going to happen was gentle, not so bad, right? Or else he wouldn't have left his concubines behind to guard the palace. Or he purposely put them in harm's way, knowing they would be SA'd or killed by the invading army. Either way, he's awful. He's either stupid or he's awful. Mike says, surely Christians must win the World Twister Championship every year. 1,000,000%, Mike. If you take me to a church and ask if we're going to play Twister, I forfeit. I will not play Twister with Christians. That no one can beat them. They're human pretzels. Bugat says, these theist talking points are either the same or worse. Well, you're right. And they're all the same talking points. That's why we don't hear anything new, because they just repeat the things they heard. They haven't thought through any of the talking points yet. We've actually thought through them, which is why we don't like them. Eris says, I'm just a human. I can't know what's truly good. Then what's the point of the fruit in Eden? I agree. If you're just a human, you don't know right from wrong, then the whole fruit situation seems superfluous, because it literally says that they ate from the knowledge of good and evil, and then they obtained the knowledge of good and evil, which means they have to know what good and evil is. So if you don't know anymore, that means Genesis isn't true. Nightman cometh, thank you so much for the $20 super chat, friend. Big W says, not that it even begins to justify God's actions, but I've always wondered whether the intercourse between David and Bathsheba was consensual. Well, here's the thing, Nightman. I don't think it was. And here's why. If a king gives you a command, you can't say no. Like, disobeying the king is akin to disobeying God. you're a dead man or woman. So what happened was the only possible outcome. She either disobeyed the king, risked death, or she committed the adultery with David, and she chose to commit the adultery. People that are captives or people that are under an authoritative dictator don't have free consent. They don't. Dustin says, these daytime lives are top shelf. Just fantastic. Well, thank you, Dustin. I appreciate it. We're trying to do the best we can. And Hammond says, Lucky is probably using Chat GPT. Just read books and actual articles, dude. You would be smarter. I think people need to read more. I agree. Readers are leaders, Hammond, 1,000,000%. And if they would just read the Bible, at least, then they would know what they're talking about. Just read the book. Still attacks a bit. Thank you for the $5 Canadian chat. Says, we'll try this again. A t-shirt from your shop I would buy. I promise I'm getting to it, friends. I'm getting to it. DM me gift shop ideas. I will be putting that in the gift shop, though. Hammond says 100% Chat GPT. Maybe. I mean, it certainly is possible. But I think he was giving pretzel answers even worse than Chat GTP or GPT. I've said it before, but these people are Marcionites. Maybe, actually. Maybe. A lot of them don't believe that the God of the Old Testament's good. They just believe that Jesus is good. And if that's the case, then they're Marcionites. I agree with you. But then they quiver at the mention of the Trinity. HW says, you reap what you sow. God allows to prove Satan a liar. I don't know what that means. God doesn't have to allow anyone to prove Satan to be a liar or not. He could just kill Satan the same way he kills blasphemers. Silly. Necro, thank you for the $49.99 super chat. Huge W, Necro. Let's get some W's in the chat for our friend Necro. Thank you, buddy. It says 100,000 years ago. 100,000 years. Shit, my brain's fried. 10,000 years of DZ. Here's a little something for the chef. Congrats on 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Well, thank you so much, Necro. I appreciate it. We finally cracked 50,000 like a week ago. Next stop is 75,000, friends. If you like debates, you like educational content, like and subscribe to stream, watch the videos, watch the clips. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Necro. And Onyx coming again and says 400 years of silence, Malachi and Matthew scary. Actually, I personally think that the intertestamental books, the Apocrypha, should be canonized. If you're a Christian, if you're a Jew, I can see why you wouldn't. And Mark, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, please split this with Lucky Drifter as a congrats to winning the Guinness Book of World Records for largest self-tying pretzel. My brain still has whiplash from his twists and turns. I will say, Mark, of the many things he did do a lot of ping pong. Rather than sticking on topic, he wanted to jump to this and jump to that. That can make for a difficult conversation. That's a tough one. But he wasn't as obnoxious as some of the guests before him, at least. Like I think he was doing it in good faith. I just think he was under pressure. You know what I mean? And Noah's Lions, good to see you, friend, says they measured my foundation differentials today. Really? Okay. It's 9 inches off on one side. That's what happens when you don't have Doug as your savior. Precisely. Okay. Yeah. If your foundation is not solid, if it's not firm, it's not unified, you need Doug. They should have built the foundation on Doug. Now they're using these cheap artificial Dougs, cinder blocks, clay block. Why? Use stone. Use the real thing. Don't reject the chief cornerstone. Atheist Punk says, are there any texts which claim to be directly written by Jesus? No, actually none. Deconstructed fundamentalist just wondering and enjoying the barbecue. Hail, Doug. Well, thank you for being Atheist Punk. No, there's nothing claimed to be written by Jesus. That's a huge problem. If Jesus was the Messiah and he could actually read Hebrew, he should have wrote some shit for us, but we had nothing. And it should have been good. It should have been like undebunkable. Johanna, my friend, great to see you. Thank you for sending out 5 Deconstruction Zone memberships. That's huge, friend. I appreciate that. And Scylla Taxabit come in and again says Kundalini was a member of Toe Cutter's motorcycle gang in the movie Mad Max. I'd watch that. I think you're right. I think that is the case. I got like 5 more super chats, friends. And I got like 10 minutes before I have to leave. So unfortunately, I won't have time for any more guests, but I'll be live again probably for sure Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, just not tomorrow. Tomorrow I've got to take my mom to a doctor's appointment. We're going to be gone for a while. And then I'll be back home with my son. So tomorrow I won't be live, but the other days of the week I'll be live. Jeremy says the only thing Jesus said about slavery is slaves obey your masters, even the harsh ones. Well, Paul says that, but it seems like Jesus agrees with it. Jesus doesn't say a damn thing about slaves being freed or obeying the masters, one thing or another. He just assumes, he presumes that the state of slavery will continue to be the state of slavery and that slaves have a role to play, namely being subject to the master. In fact, the whole relationship between Christians and God is a slave relationship. That's how crazy the God of the Bible is. The God of the Bible, the main metaphor between the relationship between us and him is that we're his slaves. And you're going to tell me that he thinks that slavery is wrong? Now, Jesus did say of his disciples, I no longer call you servants, but friends. He did say that of his disciples. So he did a little bit there. Anyway, Midnight says, first time finally catching you live. All hail to the mighty Doug. I do the Dougie every day. Well, big Dougal, I super appreciate you catching a live stream. Thanks for being here, Midnight. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for supporting. Mindfolded Manacles, great to see you today, says it's an old question, but who did Cain marry if he was the first family, his cousins? Does this imply Genesis was not originally as we have it? So first of all, I agree. If you read Genesis, there's lots of plot holes. And the reasons why there's plot holes is because there was two original narratives that got stitched together and they sliced and diced and missed some shit. That's why. Just read about the documentary hypothesis. You could read the lectures of Casuto. You could read the writings of Julius Wellhausen. You could read newer people like Joel Baden or Richard Elliott Freeman on the documentary hypothesis. There are some variants to that, like the supplementary hypothesis or the fragmentary hypothesis, but they all come to the same thing, namely that these texts were composites of multiple different traditions. That being said, I think that's why there's an anachronism with the wife of Cain. There should be no people over here to marry. Now, if that is the case, though, we have to assume that Adam and Eve had a lot of children that weren't named, and their children had lots of children that weren't named, and we just know about some of them. And that they had so many, but by the time Cain was being punished, they were so prolific like rabbits, there were already some people over here. But additionally, what that means is that Cain would have married either a sister of his own, one of his sisters, or a niece. So those are bad scenarios either way. It's not great. I got four super chats. Sorry. People are sending new super chats. Stop sending super chats, friends. Stop. I love you, but I got to go at 5 o'clock. Brandon says, be happy you're not a Panthers fan. Oh, you're right. I do have pity for you. I do have pity for Panthers fans. I get it. It's a tough franchise to be a part of. My heart goes out. Carnage Asada coming in again. Thank you so much, my friend. Great to see you. For the second time, it says, mind if I call up so I can describe my dream last night to your audience? I promise it'll be worth everyone's time. I was being chased by a giant crab, and I'm certain this is proof astrology is valid. Actually, Carnage, for you, if you get in the guest box, I'll let you tell us about your dream. I actually would be curious to hear it. While you're contemplating that, Carnage, I'm going to go ahead and read what's left of the super chats. Siphus says, Thor said no more giants. Don't see any giant. It's a prophecy. Thor's the king. He's the Messiah. He predicted it. I'm glad you pointed that out. And Funky Monk, thank you for sending out 5 DZ Debates memberships. I really appreciate that. And Straightforward said, one Norwegian fan here learned so much. Hey, shit, that's what we want here. We want people to learn. We want people to grow. We want people to get smarter and have better critical thinking and arguments. And Robin says, happy Monday. Happy Monday to you. Guys, don't have a case of the Mondays. Have a happy Monday. And Ehud, the leftist, my friend, coming in again, says, one more quick shout out to the mods. Great work. I agree. We really owe the mods a lot of credit for what they're doing. The mods are really doing a lot of work here, friends. And Libra says, hail Doug. I agree. Hail Doug. Hail Doug. And Hazelnut says, in the name of not sending super chats, here's the super chat. Well, thank you, Hazelnut. I appreciated that. Thank you for the $10 super chat. And I've got one more super chat. Don't send any more, friends. One more from No Cakewalk. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Thank you for the 100 NOK. It says, have you seen the recent series from Useful Charts? Maybe Jesus was actually Herod's grandson and heir to the throne. Wouldn't that be a hoot and a half? It would be fun. I actually haven't seen that Useful Chart video yet, but I love the channel. I love the channel Useful Charts. It's a great channel. Can't say anything bad about it. I can't say I've ever disagreed with the scholarship being done there. Big fan, but I will watch that video on your suggestion. It's probably a good video. Now, Carnage, I don't see Carnage in the guest box. I don't know, maybe because she had to dip out, didn't have time for the story. But Carnage, I'll be live again on Wednesday. If you want to tell your story to everybody, I would love to hear the story. It sounds actually like a really interesting story. Coming back on Wednesday, we'll be live again on Wednesday, and Wednesday we'll probably be able to use your chart, your spreadsheet that you made too. Carnage Asada made a dynamite spreadsheet for dealing with woo callers. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Hacky says, Doug Holt told me to send a super chat. Blame him. God damn it, Doug. Doug, damn it. Well, thank you for the super chat. All right, guys, who's live right now that we can go raid? I presume it's the middle of the day. There's going to be some people live. Let me see who's live. All right, let's see. Who is? Oh shit, Ian. My boy's Ian is live right now. Actually, let's go. We haven't sent Ian a raid in a little while. Let's go raid Ian's live stream. I want to put Ian on the screen. This is my boy Ian. His screen name is allegedly Ian. He is on YouTube and TikTok, friends. So it doesn't matter if you're watching on YouTube or TikTok. Find allegedly-Ian, or on TikTok allegedly.Ian, and you'll find it. Go send him a Justin and Doug raid. I'll be over there in a couple minutes. I'll be chirping in the comments with your friends as well. So let's go over and give him a big old raid. Let's bump his numbers up. There's 678 people watching right now on TikTok. Let's bump this thing way up over 750. Let's give him a wave. Let's give him a wave on the YouTube as well. His YouTube's growing steadily and strong by the power of Doug. But let's just make it rock hard, friends. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Thank you so much for supporting. And thank you for the mods being here. Thank you for everyone chatting and supporting the stream and all the supers. Thank you for everyone who gifted directly over Cash